yesterday is a key issue. He pointed out the way defective block homeowners are being treated differs starkly to the recent measures announced for defective apartment owners in Dublin. He accused the government of washing its hands of the situation and wrongly believing that the supposedly enhanced redress scheme has resolved the issues.
You're expecting traumatised homeowners whose lives have been destroyed to try to engage with building contractors to try and make an amount of money fit that just can't fit. Will he meet with the councillors who are here today, cross-party, including his own government councillors, who've called the scheme a sham, who've called out their own government and said they need to get up there urgently? Because I'm telling you something now, you're going to have people on the street again very, very soon in Donegal, Mayo, Clare and all of these counties again.
There are further calls for regional inequalities to be addressed with a particular focus on the northwest. Such inequalities have been highlighted further after latest CSO figures revealed people in Donegal have the lowest disposable income in the country at just over €18,500. The Northern and Western Regional Assembly says the gap in the region and the state average has progressively widened over the past decade. Bosses at AIB Bank are to be called into the Finance Committee in Leinster House to face questions on debt write-downs. It follows reports that former hurling star DJ Carey had a loan running into millions of euro written down by 99%. AIB's chief executive told staff yesterday that all of the facts of the case were not yet in the public domain. Subsequent reports now suggest the bank also recovered and sold a number of properties. Help is at hand for smokers thinking about kicking the habit. Today is Ash Wednesday, National No Smoking Day, and the HSE says nicotine replacement therapies are free from local stop smoking clinics. It's part of a package of supports on offer to help people quit. The HSE's smoking cessation service in Donegal is urging people in the county to engage with them. More on that on today's 9 till noon show with Greg. Martina Blake, national lead for the HSE's Tobacco Free Ireland programme, says therapies can double the chance of quitting for good.
Nicotine has actually been defined by the WHO as more addictive than heroin. That's why we really don't advise people to quit on their own, and most people who try to quit on their own unfortunately are unsuccessful. So we really advise that using stop smoking medication doubles your chances, and using stop smoking advisor support will double your chances again.
And weather forecast cold and breezy today with sunshine and scattered blustery showers. Some of those showers heavy with hail and isolated thunderstorms possible. Wintry falls can't be ruled out over higher ground. Top afternoon temperature 6 to 8 degrees Celsius. Feeling colder due to a brisk northwesterly wind. It'll be cold again tonight as well. Temperatures dipping below zero in some areas, hitting -1 in parts. It'll be a little bit drier tonight with some mist and fog, and then a little bit of rain before dawn. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
There's no better time to switch to 48. Get all data, calls and texts for $12.99 a month. And there's no contract, so you're not tied down. Plus, we're powered by 3. Switch and save at 48.ie. Monthly membership, fair usage policy of 200 gigabytes, 5,000 calls and texts, and terms and conditions apply. One-time activation fee of $12.99. See 48.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And we are up and running for another Wednesday. This one, the 22nd of February 2023. It's 4 minutes past 9. How are you keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. A cold but fresh and bright morning this morning. I hope it felt the same for you out there. Right, okay, loads coming up on the show. You heard Donald Flagman and we're talking about quitting smoking. We've got business news. There's so much in there over the course of the 3 hours, so please stay where you are and get involved in the conversation as well. It's been a cracking week for your interactions. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000, and emails come in at comments@highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the show, don't forget, on your smart TV, on your Fire Stick, go into the YouTube app, search us there. You can watch us on your big screen or via the same platforms on your mobile device. And you can also check us out on our website, highlandradio.com. Watch live there. Right, what was I going to say to you? I think we're going to be announcing the Community Hero Award winner on Friday. Very excited about that. We're going to go through the entries a little later on today. Hopefully now, I think there was a bit of a rush yesterday as well too, but there's been a great response to it. Also finalising the music competition that we have running. Again, I've been listening through the entrance to that over the last couple of weeks. A good standard again, it has to be said. So we'll be selecting the finalists for that and looking forward to them performing live on the show. So there's lots going on, and we'll keep you updated as things progress. But let's crack on with the papers this morning. And it's an incredibly, incredibly sad front page of the Inish Times. Huge sadness at passing of brave Rocco McGinley. And I think all of us, when we heard this news, our thoughts instantly went to Rocco. Initially, of course, but to his family, a massive gap now left in their lives. Tributes have been paid to Buncrana teenager Rocco McGinley, who has passed away after a battle with a rare brain tumour. The 15-year-old passed away on Tuesday morning, surrounded by his family. He'd been diagnosed with an extremely rare type of life-threatening brain tumour in October 2021. And again, we wish Rocco's family and his friends and the wider community, because I think this his passing is going to be felt deeply by an awful lot of people. We wish them all the strength that can be mustered at this incredibly, incredibly difficult time. On to the Finn Valley Voice now. Work to start this year on the 10 million Twin Towns regeneration, an exciting project. Although this is a blurred photo print, I'm not sure how much of this can read. The design team, I think, for the... I'll come back to that because I simply cannot read it. It's been printed too small for me. Not the paper itself, because I just got a front page and it's on a grey background, and not a chance am I going to be fit to read that this morning. Let's go to the national... Actually, do you know what? I can open this up and do it this way. Try and keep everything in order, because it's an important story for the Finn Valley as well. Let me see here. The design team for the ambitious €9.8 million Ballybofey-Stranorlar regeneration strategy is expected to be appointed next month. Donegal County Council also confirmed that the land valuation services will be unannounced at the same time. Following appointment of the integrated design team, a programme of works will be determined outlining proposed commencement dates. The council spokesperson said it's understood that work will start before the end of the year. That's going to really change the face of Ballybofey and Stranorlar, I suppose, as well. I can't wait to see how that finishes out and how it looks. Look forward to seeing work begin there. The cost of living package confirmed yesterday afternoon. I don't know if you looked over it or what you thought of it. There's been a mixed political reaction to it and representative groups as well. The $1.3 billion cost of living package unveiled by the government has sparked a mixed reaction, with business groups giving it a broad welcome, but others saying once-off measures for struggling households do not go far enough. The Cabinet signed off on a €200 bonus payment for welfare recipients such as pensioners, lone parents and people with disabilities, as well as a €100 child benefit top-up for families. Now, for some families, that's an additional €300, so it is going to make a difference. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said the measures were aimed at helping people and businesses get through the spring and summer, and it would be the last cost of living intervention this side of the budget. Taoiseach Micheál Martin predicted that while the opposition would dismiss the measures, the public would welcome them when viewed alongside the 11 billion package in last year's budget. Ministers also agreed to extend the reduced VAT rate on electricity and gas, and for excise cuts on petrol and diesel to be phased out between June and the end of October. There'll be no extra €200 electricity credit this summer, but the government signalled that the need for such payment next winter would be considered in advance of the budget. Now, I understand. There's still a €200 payment at the end of March, isn't there? Which is going to help again. The Cabinet agreed the waiving of exam fees for the Junior Cert and the Leaving Cert, and to boost the back-to-school allowance by €100. That's all well and good, but some parents receiving bills for €130 for mock exam papers. So the Junior and Leaving Cert will be free, but why are people being charged €130 odd for mock exams? But anyway, what is being described as modest charges for school transport in rural areas are to be reintroduced after they were dropped last year. The coalition also approved the extension of the reduced 9% VAT rate for the hospitality sector until the end of August. Mr Varadkar said it would be the final extension. So that's that. Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald criticised the package as silent on housing, with nothing for renters or mortgage holders. Social Democrats co-leader Roisin Shortall said it was wholly inadequate, and we know mortgage holders, their bills have gone up by thousands of euro every single year. Over thousands of euro a year because of rising interest rates, of course. So any bit of money that we have, and we heard again in the news, unfortunately, we've cemented our position as the county with the lowest disposable income. So any increase affects more people here in a greater way. That's just a reality. It's not, poor mouthing from Donegal. It is the God's honest truth. But if you're a multimillionaire, here's another reminder in the Irish Independent that things are going to be okay for you. AIB has reassured staff that Kilkenny hurling star DJ Carey did not receive any special treatment when he had debts of €9.5 million written down to just €60,000. No special treatment, they say. Mr. Carey secured a settlement in 2017 through which he had to pay just 0.63% of the original amount owed to the majority state-owned bank. RTE's Primetime revealed how Mr. Carey received a 99.37 reduction in his debt. However, it's understood the sale of properties at the K Club in County Kildare and Mount Juliet in County Kilkenny also went towards relieving the debt. Therefore, Mr. Carey would have received an estimated write-down of around 80% after the sale of his properties, and the 60% settlement were taken into account. That doesn't change much for me. If he's got high-value properties, they had to be sold against his debt. He still had a very significant write-down of money he borrowed that he didn't have to pay back. Politicians are now calling for AIB to appear before the Oireachtas Finance Committee to explain the move and to give an outline of a number of different cases at different values. Give us some samples of people who owe between 50 and 100,000 euro, and then those that owe between 5 and 10 million. Let us see exactly what's going on. In the Irish Daily Mail this morning, shoppers have been urged to buy local amid a shortage of certain fruit and veg due to poor weather conditions in Europe. Impacted items include broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, peppers, aubergines and courgettes. Not going to lie, it's not going to impact on our house too much. It should, but it's not. Justin Leonard, managing director of Jackie Leonard and Sons, a wholesale fruit and veg supplier in Dublin, told RTE that Spain's experienced 16 consecutive nights of below freezing temps over the last 3 weeks. Mr. Leonard said when temperatures go below zero, plants stop producing and close in on themselves as a protective measure. As a result, there is just no product available to be harvested. This is unfortunately a problem that is going to continue for 2 to 3 weeks, if not longer, because we're also coming towards the end of the Spanish season, he said. So it's a short-term measure. Listen, yesterday we were talking about a shortage of drugs for people who are very, very sick. We'll survive, won't we, if there's fewer cucumbers and courgettes about. But still in all, maybe it's going to put pressure on hospitality. That being said, a lot of that stuff can be bought locally and it's grown locally. Very few air miles, and you're supporting local businesses and local jobs. What do you think about this one? It's in the Irish Daily Star. It was kind of mentioned on the news yesterday, but just thought I'd read it through, and maybe it's a topic you might want to get involved in. The government has approved sending 30 Irish soldiers to train the Ukrainian army. Defence Minister Micheál Martin brought the proposal to Cabinet and was given the green light by his ministerial colleagues yesterday. Now, we don't get a say in this. It's just a few fellas around a table and women around a table that decide this. Mr. Martin said Ireland has consistently, since the war began, provided non-lethal support, and that the latest training is part of this agenda. Some of the most skilled members of the Defence Forces are being deployed to EU military camps in EU countries where they will train Ukrainian soldiers. So what do you think? So we've got Irish soldiers. Now, we are military neutral. We're not politically neutral. That's just a reality, if the truth be told. And historically, we've always flirted with neutrality. But what do you think about this? Our army, the Army of Ireland, is going to be going over to train the Ukrainian army in bulletproof vests that we've supplied as well, to go in and fight young Russian soldiers or soldiers of all ages. Does that compromise our neutrality for what it is? Are you happy about that? Are you unhappy about it? Maybe you are the family of a soldier and it's one of his colleagues or he or her who are going out to train Ukrainian soldiers to fight in this war in Ukraine. Are you for it? Are you against it? 086 60 25,000. Now, it is possible those against it might be more motivated to text, right? Because that's just a pattern in radio shows. But if you think this is a good idea, that this is us doing our bit, I want to hear from you as well. 086 60 25,000. So should the best of the Irish army be going and joining with EU colleagues in camps, training Ukrainian soldiers on how to use weapons and tactics and what have you to fight in Ukraine? What do you think? The experts we're sending over will include experts in bomb disposal, demining, engineering and trauma first aid. The Irish soldiers will be part of a pan-European team called the EU Military Assistance Mission in support of Ukraine. The government does not believe the mission conflicts with our long-standing policy of neutrality, and they have advised from the Attorney General that the mission does not, legally, right, okay, it doesn't compromise that. Morally, what do you think? But anyway, it does not need approval in the Dáil. So this decision can be made without any of the people that you elected, from whatever party or none, having a say on it. It's not the first time that Irish soldiers have joined an EU military training mission, though, but it is the first time they have done so for a foreign army that is in an active war. So this is unprecedented. Again, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. On to the Irish Daily Mirror this morning. Leo Varadkar has warned energy companies he'll not stand idly by if the firms do not pass discounts to customers. That noise you can hear is the energy companies trembling in their boots. Big Energy was quick to impose major price hikes on customers when wholesale prices rose last year because of the war in Ukraine. Prices on commodity markets have since begun falling, the lower than before the war started. But the Irish energy companies have not yet passed on the cheaper prices to households, with the exception of Pinergy. The Taoiseach said it only took a few months for the energy companies to put the prices up, and I'm not going to stand idly by as they report massive profits this year and don't rebate some of that to their customers. So what he's saying effectively, and I have to agree with him on this one, is that energy companies will argue that they hedged, they bought electricity, they bought gas, they bought whatever they bought for a longer period, to try and give price certainty. And now they're locked into those prices higher than the wholesale prices. But what Leo Varadkar is saying is, OK, that's fine, but that's not good enough. You have to offset some of the cost to customers by digging into your profits, which is not unreasonable, I don't think. None of them are going to go broke. Finally, a man arrested over the killing of an Irish bishop in Los Angeles is the husband of the victim's housekeeper and had previously done work at his home, authorities say. Auxiliary Bishop David O'Connell was shot in the bedroom at his home on Saturday. A SWAT team arrested Carlos Mendina following a 6-hour standoff at his home in Terrance, about 55 kilometres southwest of Hacienda Heights on Monday. LA County Sheriff Robert Lane confirmed. Very sad story that, but they have the person in custody. Right, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000, 074 91 25,000. Hopefully you had a lot of pancakes and stuff yesterday, did you? I made the mistake of saying I would eat a pancake every time Real Madrid scored. And I didn't sleep a wink. Right, okay, we are going to be back with our first guests on the show after we take this break. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €5 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Donegal County Council invites the public to take part in the first stage of the public consultation to inform the preparation of the draft town centre first plan for Milford, which runs from Thursday the 16th of February until Thursday the 9th of March 2023 and will include an open drop-in event on Wednesday the 22nd of February from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. at the Milford Public Service Centre. For more information, visit the project website milfordtowncentrefirst.com.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who are unable to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Now, we heard concerns expressed yesterday by Aontú Representative Mary T. Sweeney about new maps which have been drawn up that could mean that if you're in a red zone, you could face a land tax, 3% per annum. And there's a lot of catch-all in it, in that there's a lot of people's, you know, if you have a small plot for growing vegetables, a larger back garden, whatever it might be, that unknowns to you, that it could, it's zoned a certain way, and it's been highlighted in this map, and you could end up paying a tax on it. And the argument was made that people weren't made aware of this, that the draft map has been drawn up now, and people could find themselves facing quite hefty tax bills unknowns to themselves. They would be well aware of it by the time the tax started being leveraged against them. And the call was made for this to be suspended in Donegal to some extent until there is some clarity. We're speaking to an elected rep now, Councillor Paul Canning, on this issue. Councillor Canning, I'm not sure, did you get an opportunity to listen to Mary T. Sweeney yesterday? And if so, what do you feel, if anything, needs clarification?
Unfortunately, I didn't, and I'm driving here, so you could lost me. I'm on my way into Lifford. The situation was that we were on, you and I discussed this kind of at the end of October, start of November, around that time. It was around the time that the date was open for submissions. So it was highlighted on your show. Donegal County Council also had it up on their website. The only situation, or the only grey area, for a better word, is the established development that's there. There are people there that whenever you look at the map, you see established development, and that could be their house, but it also could be their backyard or their backyarding or whatever. Now, and that's probably, I didn't hear, that's probably what Mary T was on about. In relation to that plot of ground, if there's infrastructure in place, i.e. if there's a footpath, if there's lighting, if there's sewer, if there's water, if there's surface water, then they are liable for the tax if the site can avail of planning permission. Now, that's a big if, because the planning rules and regulations, very few will allow you now to go into the backyard of somebody and build a house. It doesn't happen. The other situation is in relation to, well, I'm speaking specifically because it was probably Letterkenny. There's a lot of land that has been zoned. The only zoning that is relevant here is your residential, your mixed opportunity site, your reserve residential, and your established development. Now, the problem being, and there will be challenges in relation to the reserve, I think there'll be a lot of the big landowners will take a challenge to the department, insofar as the reserve residential does not guarantee them getting planning permission on it, because the primary residential has to be used up first. So it's not just over the line to the extent that everybody thinks it is.
But what does this mean, though, in terms of how will this all be sorted out? Because if you look at the maps, there's big swathes that seem to be identified right for this particular tax. How are they going to enforce it? Drill down into all of the criteria that you talk of. Deal with individual landowners? Is it going to be up to the public to engage in appeal and try and get an exit? Although, or are the council going to be calling around to people? Like, how is this all going to be processed? It sounds incredibly complex with so many landowners within these boundaries.
Yeah, I would say they are going to throw the blanket. They are going to throw the blanket on everything, and it's up to the individual landowner themselves then to make a case now. And anybody that hasn't made the submission, which from the 1st of November to the 1st of January, there is a process that they can appeal to the board, but it's unfortunately, like everyone, it's not everybody's up to speed with the processes and the planning. So it is going to be very difficult for people in relation to getting it sorted. I would say that this will tease itself out after we have to make a decision on the 1st of April in relation to the submissions that have been made. As councillors, we have requested an extension of time on it. The date for the 1st of January date was a national date that everybody had to abide by. We have requested for an extension of time. Now, the forward planner said that he would look into that to see if there's an avenue there, because the target is January of 2024 insofar as they're rolling it out. And you know, and I know, and everybody knows that when revenue starts sending out the letters, at times they are very difficult to deal with. So we need to get it sorted prior to that. In relation to the councillors and the elected members, we are well aware of it. We are in discussion with the officials in the planning section, where we have a planning SPC today. It will be brought up today again in relation to if there's any further engagement with departments in relation to that. But it is worrying for people simply because the proper knowledge and the proper information isn't.
And I know you're trying to explain it to me, but I'm still not really fully getting it. You know, like in terms of, say, for instance, there's a company or a holding company or an individual in Letterkenny, right? And there's a big flat piece of land and it seems ripe for development, and you wonder, why is there not a bus stop there or something? Do you know what I mean? I can kind of get that, or housing, obviously, because this is about housing. But who's going to get caught into this in terms of someone in Buncrana, in Donegal Town, in Ballyshannon, in Letterkenny, who have a small holding of land, no intention ever of developing on it, right? Are there going to be people then that are going to start getting tax bills? Because they might say, look, I'm not a developer here. I've got this bit of land. I grow some spuds in it or something. I'm never going to seek planning permission for it. I don't have the resources to build on it, and I don't really want to sell it. Do you know what I mean? So are there going to be people affected like that? And if so, to what scale do you think from what you've seen so far?
The person with the small bit of land is safe enough. When I call a small bit of land, it's on. You can't build on it. You can't apply. You can't get planning on it. The small garden is okay, 100%. You just send a letter. You will just be asked to send a letter and to the revenue or whoever's dealing with in relation to the revenue, stating the obvious and show the map to state that. Now, if you have 5 acres of ground adjacent to your property and you're in the middle of one of those towns and you have the footpath, the lighting, the sewer, the surface water, etc., you will be asked to look at developing that for the purpose of residential. If you refuse or if you don't, they will be taxing you to the extent of 3%. It's up to you to make that argument. Now, if you say, yes, I'm going to engage with Donegal County Council and I am going to apply for planning permission for that site, then you are actively engaging with the system insofar as producing houses or planning to produce houses. You will be exempt until those houses are developed.
But the argument was made that, people, the person you talk of there might perhaps have potentially gone over their head. But the big boys, the big players in this would have had all the resources to make sure they got their exemptions or what have you. They've also got the government, in a corner, really, in that if the big developers who might have access to the big swathes of land, they're saying, look, we can't afford to build. The government has to give them breaks to make them build. It all works out nicely for the big boys. But your small person, of boy or girl, you know what I mean? I'm just saying boys for the sake of it. In rural Ireland, it is they that are going to be tussling with revenue and the council over their pocket of land. I mean, do you believe that this... Do you believe that this is a good move, and do you think it will achieve? Do you think an extra house will be built in Donegal off the back of this for all the hassle it's going to cause people?
Yeah, I think just to go back to the big boys are getting no exemptions. unfortunately, because we need developers to start building houses, and at the minute it's not happening. And the problem we have then is we have landowners that are hoarding land to try and get the land value up in price. But it's getting the mixture right, as you say. There is genuine people in towns and villages that have pieces of land, and they're nervous as to what's going to happen to them. The planning system within Donegal County Council is very good insofar as they have plans for villages and towns and or major towns, and they strategically look at locations of where there is land that needs to be used for the purpose of services for community, for development and for housing. And that's we need to get into that space. There is no point in a person having 4 or 5 acres stuck in the middle of Letterkenny town centre and not making use of it. It doesn't help the town.
I just want to go back to what you say about the big boys. They don't have an ad. I would strongly disagree with that. They've got access to politicians. They've got lobby groups. Many elected politicians are these landowners, are these developers. And you know, the government's already hinting that it's going to have to do something for developers to get them back building the way the country needs to be. And without them doing that, the government can't reach its targets. You know, so I would suggest the big boys are in a far better position than, you know, someone who has a bit of land in a town or within some of these boundaries in Donegal. What's your advice to people? And you're quite right to point out that you did come on and talk about this, and I didn't reference that yesterday because I simply forgot, to be completely honest. Hands up. What should people out there be doing now? Check the maps. How are they? Who's going to go through all of this land and see if it would qualify for planning permission? I mean, the amount of work in this is unbelievable. I don't know how this council, between that defective concrete and everything else that's going on, how this council is going to do all of this type of work.
Yeah, well, the first thing, anybody that has property that is below the quarter acre need not worry, because the backyard and there's not going to be planning permission there. In relation to that, anybody that is above that threshold, feel free to give any elected member a ring and advise them, because that elected member then they can get a map and they can go and they can bring that map to the council or bring it to the planning SPC, but get it highlighted through the elected member, and they will give them an indication as to A, B, and C in relation to that. The other big issue that we do have, you know, and people don't seem to want to talk about it, is we have applications, and Letterkenny is no different to any other town. We have applications in there for housing, for residential, and for student accommodation that's getting objected to left, right and centre by just simply because not in my backyard. So these things, even though it's paying for people, these things have to be ironed out if we are going to develop the bigger towns in this county.
All right, come here. You didn't make the protest in Dublin or the demonstration or the meeting in Dublin yesterday. I mean, you know yourself, I think you knew I'd have to ask you about this. Did you have a clash of appointments, or did you make a choice not to go?
We had a Peace Plus. I'm the chairperson of the Peace Plus, and it has got a lot of mention this last while because of the Riverine project. But I'm the chair of the Peace Plus, and we had our launch. We had our launch yesterday, a very good launch. We have €7.5 million euros coming into this county. There'll be a couple of million for capital spend, but there's 3 or 4 million for actual programs, and we had the Peace 4 this last 4 or 5 years, and we rolled out. We give out over 5 million in programs that helps.
Yep, that's really significant. If that launch wasn't on yesterday, would you have gone down?
The situation was, that's a hypothetical question, yeah. If that launch hadn't been there, I'll speak to my colleague to see how things went yesterday.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Paul Canning. Just giving some clarification on that issue. As he quite rightly pointed out, we had talked about that issue previously with him. 08660 25,000. 08660 25,000. Right, it is break time.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Callahan's Gala and Go Burt, your one-stop family shop. Drive in to our newly renovated spacious forecourt. Fill up with our upgraded modern fuel pumps and save with our keen Go Fuel prices. Located on the main Letterkenny to Derry Road, we're the ideal pit stop on your Donegal journey. Fast flow fuel, self-service or attended with a smile.
Sure, it's all go at Callahan's.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure have all the equipment you need to get fit this year. Add to your home gym collection from the new range of weights, skipping ropes, resistance bands and exercise balls with free next day delivery on orders over €85 at michaelmurphysports.ie.
For over 20 years, CarZone has been the trusted name in Ireland's motoring marketplace, bringing 1 million car buyers and sellers together every month. And now, buying or selling a car has never been easier on CarZone with expert tools and advice. Download the CarZone app or check out carzone.ie. CarZone, Ireland's trusted motoring marketplace.
Stop Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Okay.
Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds and fish. Some of the popular home pets that need care and attention every day. At Gary's Pet World, our fully trained staff are here to help you and your pets. We offer great advice and value on all foods, accessories, grooming and care products with incredible offers on all leading brands. Shop in store at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny Retail Park, open 7 days per week, or browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie. It's where you live. It's where you relax. It's where you make memories. Treat your home to a visit to Cooney's Home Interiors. We have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Style and perfection at incredible value.
New football boots for the season ahead at Brian McCormick Sports. Classic triple black boots in soft ground. Adidas Predator accuracy with improved texture across the strike zone in classic soft ground sole unit. Try the classic Puma King Top SG with a sleek soft leather in classic 6-stud for extra grip. Get back to training with all your essentials, shorts, socks, gum shield and kit bag. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Click bmcsports.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
All right, cold and breezy with sunshine and scattered blustery showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with hail and isolated thunderstorms. Temperatures 6 to 8 degrees. Okay, we are joined in studio now by students from St. Columba's College and also a teacher as well, Nicola Harris, PE teacher. Good morning, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us. Aisling Mullen, thanks for calling in. Katie Dowds is with us as well. Hi, Katie. Sheena Ryan, all transition year students. Hi, Sheena.
Hi.
And Nicola Harris, PE teacher. How are you, Nicola?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning.
It's good to have you in. Right, okay. So we're talking about your transition year mini company. It's called Mind Over Matter. Aisling, do you want to explain a little bit about it to us?
So our mini company is called Mind Over Matter, and we focus on creating a positive mindset for young sporting people. And
And is that kind of to deal with pressure or to perform better, or is it just generally in life? Or
it deals with a lot of different aspects in the sport, like dealing with injuries or not making the cut or not starting for a team. So it deals with lots of different ways of like building your resilience back up in sports.
And that happens a lot, really. I mean, if you take part in sport, it's going to happen, isn't it?
All three of us are very heavily involved in sports, and we all experience losing and winning and everything. So
yeah. Oh, it's an interesting one. Katie, talk to me a little bit about Mind Over Matter from your perspective. What do you think? What problem do you think this is fixing beyond what Aisling has mentioned there?
Well, with us being heavily involved in sports, we've seen that a lot of people do struggle with having a positive mindset in sport, and there is a big dropout at our age in sports, so we wanted to try and create something that will create more of a motivational and positive environment, like in the sporting club or in some sort of sport that we wanted to create something positive and make a difference.
And Katie, do you feel this is about empowering the sports person, yourselves, or is it maybe about educating coaches or trainers or selectors to understand that every action has a reaction, sort of a thing?
Well, in our pack, we're kind of focusing on both of them. We have our carry board display that we have around the sporting club that will help all teams and the players and creating a motivational mindset. And then also in the pack, we have the coach's advice card. So it's going to help coaches deal with a player who's struggling to be positive and struggling to keep a positive mind.
Sheena, how did you research this? Because you want to make sure that the advice and information you're putting out there is the right advice and information.
So we did loads of market research on our wristbands. We sent it out to all the first years and we got their results back, and they were all positive, and they helped us pick which band, which material to choose. And then we also sent out a pie chart to all, there was about 300 all different sporting between basketball, Gaelic and soccer. So those results that we got back were all positive, that people were struggling with the resilience in sport.
And will this take a little bit of a mindset change, Aisling? Because, you might have some coaches that think, well, if you're not tough enough to sort of be switched out or to not be selected, that maybe you're not tough enough for the team. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to be, resilient and all that type of stuff, and there's no space for weakness. Is there something there that needs to be addressed to change attitudes, I wonder?
Yeah, that's something that we're trying to focus on as well, because coaches have a big impact on players, and their opinions matter to the players. So that's what we're trying. Some coaches wouldn't think that this is an important idea, and that's where we're trying to show them that the mindset does make a big difference in the sport. So we're trying to change coaches' opinions on mindset and sport and everything as well, because but
if they consider this, they might actually get better out of the players. And Katie, at younger age levels, there are measures put in place to sort of give everyone a go, or to increase participation, and not to have that person sitting on the bench and all that type of stuff. And then there's kind of a cliff edge, I suppose, when you get to a certain level or a certain age. Do you know what I mean? So this maybe would just have a bit more understanding through all the age disciplines. What I'm trying to say is, effectively, this is replicating what we're already seeing with younger kids, where it's all about participation, getting on, inclusion. We need to see that for older ones as well, presumably, to keep them interested in the sport.
Yeah, because whenever you're growing up kind of in sport, you're kind of left to yourself then whenever you get to an older age. So, whenever you get older, you kind of maybe struggle with confidence, or struggle with maybe, going to training or going to a competition. So we just wanted to make something that will help, and that people have a backup option, and they have this here to help them and to build resilience.
Sheena, elite sports people, your Katie Taylors and others, and even in teams, they do have, they do work with psychologists and what have you. This is kind of in the same space, isn't it? It's recognising that you need to everyone's not going to have one-on-one stuff for sport, but you recognise that you will get more out of a player if you can look after them emotionally as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people just look at the physical side of it. You need to really look at the mental side as well, because that does improve your performance in the sports. So I feel like if the coaches were there to help, then it will be easier for the players, and they would stay in sports for longer, because I'd say there's probably, when you get to this age, you're juggling a few sports, and the coaches don't know, say if you lost the final the day before, and then you're going playing another game then the next day for different sports, then if the coaches kind of knew this, then this advice then would help them with their players.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was down in Dublin at the end of last week, and is it Nora Flanagan? Nora Flanagan was speaking about this and talking about the pressures on young people being, you know, if you're playing basketball, football, rugby could be in there as well, and Gaelic, and you know, if you're a good player, you might play 2 disciplines in the one day. Not picking good players up, that's the truth, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's an awful lot of pressure, and there comes a point where you have to choose, and some people say, well, I can't choose, and they just pack it in. So we could be losing the future stars of rugby, boxing, whatever it might be, because we're putting so much pressure. Now, I've focused, because you transition year students, an awful lot maybe on younger players, but some of the problems in terms of dealing with injuries, I've spoken to, you know, former intercounty players that have struggled with that as well, being dropped from a game. This is not, is it specific to young people, or I presume it applies to anyone engaged in sport at any level?
Yeah, it applies to all different sporting clubs and organisations. Obviously we started off targeting young people as we're young people ourselves, but it's available to anyone. Like, it's for clubs as well. Like, obviously the older people are going to be looking at the posters as well, so we aim to help everyone in sporting clubs. In
any organisations, habits have been formed. You know, the same people have been involved for a long time. Do you think it will take a while for people to look at something like this and say, you know what, there's something to it, maybe there's a better way of doing things, maybe they have to change what they've been doing for 10, 20 or 30 years? Do you think it will take a while for this to change? I'll ask you, Sheena.
Yeah, well, it'll always take a while, because I know coaches have their own way of dealing with their players, and like whatever, like their sayings and how they coach. Like every coach is different.
Some's tough love, some's arm around the shoulder, some's...
Yeah,
okay, I get you.
So it will take a while for them to adapt to this if they're looking to invest in it.
Right, Katie, tell us about the school Dragon Den. When was that?
It was a couple of weeks ago. We went to Dragon's Den with our money company, and we actually won the Dragon's Den, so now we're going on to the Leo Enterprise competition in Donegal, and we're also going at the end of March, we're going to the PE Expo with our money company.
And what happens at this school Dragon's Den? Is it similar to the TV show? If you've watched that, you have to stand up and pitch it, do you?
Yeah, we just stood up and we pitched our idea, and we showed everyone that was at it, like, what we intend to do and where we want to go with it, and how we want to help people.
Which is more nerve-wracking, Aisling, pitching at the school's Dragon Den or this?
They're both very nerve-wracking,
but... You're probably wondering, why did we get ourselves involved? So we just wanted to make things better, not have to speak to Egypts like you. I'm on about me being the Egypt, not you, right? Okay, so then on to the Leo finals. That's another presentation, is it, Aisling?
Yeah, that's on next Wednesday now, but we don't have to present the same as the Dragon's Den where we do our PowerPoint and everything. It's just a stand. But
that would be my worst nightmare, standing up with the clicker and having to explain stuff. It would just be my worst nightmare. Right, well, so fair play to you for doing it like you did. So Sheena, what's next then? Because this is obviously, it's a transition year project, right? But it's more not that there's any insignificance in that, but this is a bigger deal. Do you know what I mean? This is something that you can kind of keep going with, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've luckily got a grant from Donegal Sports Partnership, and we're sending out a pilot study for 3 schools and 3 sporting clubs, and this is just kind of to really put our pack together, and then they'd give us feedback, and then we can tweak it then, so then when we put it out then for people that are actually buying it, to have the best pack that there could be.
Brilliant. So when you research an experience of this and talking to other younger people, is there a difference between the challenges facing girls and boys, or is it, or does everyone, you know, experience the same in terms of, you know, winning, losing, making the cut out due to injury? I mean, obviously all the problems are the same, but is there any sense that girls are treated different to boys in this regard, or vice versa? No evidence of that? It'd be great if there isn't.
No, our pack is kind of just aimed at everyone.
Excellent. So there's no particular problem that needs focusing on. All right, that's good, isn't it? Refreshing. All right, Nicola Harris, very proud, obviously. What's your take on all of this? I mean, it's well needed, I think.
Yeah,
right, I think across all sports at all ages.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're involved in sport, with so many sports in St. Columbus, Trinora, and within clubs within our community. that this is a common experience with these. Some of these players go for 9 or 10 trials and might not make the final cut. And talking to parents at school, even during parent-teacher meeting last night, they were saying that their own kids would really benefit from some of these strategies that these girls are putting out there.
Yeah, but for us to produce elite sports people, though, there has to be a winning mentality there, right? So we're not trying to get that out of them, are we? We're not trying to wrap them in cotton wool. We're trying to best make sure we set up an environment that maximises their potential.
Yeah. Well, you and I know if you put yourself forward for something, and if you don't get it, not even outside of sport, you have to build resilience. You have to deal with losing. You have to deal with not making the cut. You have to deal with failure to experience success. So I think it's for everybody in society to build resilience.
Yeah, and also for people to support them and to understand that, because we have to deal with that individually an awful lot.
Yes,
and we all have different coping
strategies
and abilities.
Yeah. So they have stuff like self-talk, and they have different ways of keeping diaries, and so it's amazing what the mind can do. How you can change your mindset. It's everything, really, isn't it? Well, it's not everything, but it's a big percentage of it all. Right, okay, girls. Anything you want to add? Anyone you need to thank?
I would like to thank Ballet Sports for sponsoring our gear.
These are all looking very smart all together.
Thank you.
I don't think. Nicola, did you get involved in the?
I'm O'Reilly's. They're sisters. They're brothers. Actually, the O'Reillys and the Valleys are brothers.
I was going to say you're just not.
Have to get on to Stephen and Martin, get to the gear as well. Yeah, I think their focus group. You want to talk?
Yeah, we'd also like to thank the focus group. So we met with a group of people down in the A2 in Letterkenny to get their feedback on our idea, and some of the people were Keith Cowan, Michael Harris, Karen Guthrie, Dermot McGranahan and Danny Mooney. So they really helped us with our idea, and they kind of reviewed the pack for us. And then we also met with Sarah Murray. She's a sports psychologist, and she reviewed the pack as well. And we just want to thank them all because they really helped us build up our idea and everything. Yeah,
that's great input to have some of the names you mentioned there. I mean, all right, tell the whole class, Katie, what are we supposed to be saying?
Thanks for Miss Cook.
Our business teacher.
Is that what Nicola told you to say?
She's my buddy.
Just looking out for each other.
Yeah, you have to watch your back.
I'm only messing. What's her name?
Miss Cook.
Okay, and what's her role in all of this?
Well, she was just kind of helping us review our report and our PowerPoint and just...
Okay. Well, listen, well done. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. In terms of it being distributed, did I hear a figure of 300, or has this been sent out to clubs already, or what's the story?
No, that's just the feedback we got back from... But...
I'm thinking if there's any, there could be schools or groups listed. I'm not sure you're helping, Nicola. I'm not going to lie to you.
Nicola has just left the room.
I'm only joking. Sit down. I'm joking. Is the pack available? Because what I'm saying is there's going to be schools or groups listening, and they might wonder, well, when can we get our hands on this? Do we know the answer to that question?
Well, we have our Instagram and Facebooks and everything that people can contact if they want to get the packs. So we're starting off with our pilot study first for the 6 packs, and then we'll perfect them, and then we'll start selling them then. So our Instagram and Facebook is Mind Over Matter 255. Brilliant. So if anyone wants to get in contact with us there.
Nicola, it's great, isn't it, to be able to bring in students like this. They recognise problems facing people their own age and coming up with the solutions, and we're talking to them. I was at a recent conference, and they were talking about young people engaging with the media, right? And there was no young people there.
Okay.
To talk about why we're not... Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, no, if you want to fix problems that affect young people, you get them involved in the solution, in the conversation. And that's what's happening here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're very brave to make a step, and they're spokespeople for a lot of young people at their age. We were just saying that maybe it's the coaches and the parents that are listening today. I know that their age group aren't listening, but they have young ambassadors out there. They have... like the Twitter and Facebook, the Instagram, how they communicate with each other. So getting the message out there as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Right. Ashley, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was this compared to how bad you thought it was going to be coming in here?
Not bad.
Am I going to ask the same question to you, Katie? It was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was grand.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Sheena, same with you. You're taking it all in your stride anyway. Come on, what do you want to say?
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Good, so. Okay. Nightmare for Nicola, though.
No, it's okay. They did everybody did really well.
Nicola, is the future bright, do you think, in terms of our future sports star? You're seeing them coming through St Columba's College, of course, and... Yeah,
I think these girls, with this pack alone, well, they're going to start selling this pack, and that'll help our own school and the clubs in the society. These young girls are all playing. Katie made her debut with her senior ladies there this year.
Well done,
a 16-year-old, and we have Ashton who plays Gaelic for McCool's, and Sheena plays Gaelic and soccer under 16 counties. So these girls themselves are putting a lot of time and effort into sport. I think it'll help them and help other young athletes at their age group.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important too. There's a buy-in though from the older people, the coaches and the parents and stuff.
Oh, definitely. Sure, they're all team together. There's no I in team.
That's it. But there's a me.
Oh no, there is a me. It has to be a me too. Yeah.
I'm only joking. Listen, Nicola Harris, it's been lovely having you, and thanks for coming in and supporting the girls. It's really important. Ashley Mullen, well done to you in continued success in your sporting career and in the development of this. Katie Dowds and Sheena Ryan as well, all transition year students in St Columba's College in Stranraer. Another strong argument as to why, as much as possible, transition year needs to be retained in its current form. Because if you started having to really study hard for exams now, maybe you couldn't dedicate as much time to this really important project. We appreciate all of you coming in. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley-Maville.
Donegal County Council invites the public to take part in the first stage of the public consultation to inform the preparation of the Draft Town Centre First Plan for Milford, which runs from Thursday the 16th of February until Thursday the 9th of March 2023 and will include an open drop-in event on Wednesday the 22nd of February from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. at the Milford Public Service Centre. For more information, visit the project website milfordtowncenterfirst.com.
Are you ready to experience something extraordinary? Cultural gems in Croatia, ancient temples in Asia, art in Italy. Anything and everything is possible with Travel Department. Pick a destination and a date and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides and all that planning. For guided group tours to dream destinations, book today at traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
We at Highland Radio love Irish music and we want to show our support. Throughout Irish Music Month this March, in partnership with Hot Press Magazine, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians, artists and bands who make every party, every drive home and every day magic. That's right. To celebrate Irish Music Month on Highland Radio, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts and Irish music merch. Irish musicians have shown that they are right up there with the best in the world, so let's support them by buying Irish. Proudly supported by Highland Radio, Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
All right, just as we head towards the news, and thanks again to the young people from St Columba's coming in. The future is always bright and we love to shine a spotlight on it here on this programme. And again, another 3 people who we can be incredibly proud of. Really bright futures ahead of them and future stars of sport by the looks of things as well. Do I have time to quickly mention the Highland Fling? It's in Glasgow. It's from the 1st to the 4th of May. That's just around the corner. You can see how quickly this year's going, can't you? We're heading over to the when I say we, yous are, I'm not allowed, 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow. And we have live music on May 1st, May 2nd, 3rd as well. David James is there, Declan Nerney, Robert Mazzella, a host of other brilliant performers. There's crack during the day as well, of course, and in the bars. You get your accommodation, you get your coach travel, you get the ferry, you get breakfast, you get dinner, you get the 3 nights of entertainment, lots and lots of fun to be had. Time during the day as well if you want to go and explore Glasgow, as the hotel is quite close to Glasgow. Your friends in Scotland can come over and go out on the nights out with you as well, because tickets will be available locally for the nightly concerts. It's just €100 per head to book right now if you want to, and then you can pay in the balance of $475 over the course of the next few months. So then you'll have something in May to look forward to. Give us a call if you want any further details on that. 074 91 25,000. 074 91 25,000. It is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. We'll be back with more after the news and the obituary notices.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. Some people with disabilities are still waiting for the clarification as to when they will be able to make their own decisions. Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle raised the issue in the Dáil this morning with the Disabilities Minister. He says the people affected by the Assisted Decision Making Act 2022 are left in limbo and that it was sad that the Minister response had no set date for them to work towards. The Dáil has been told that more massive defective block protests are inevitable if the government doesn't engage with affected homeowners in a realistic way, urging Minister Dara O'Brien to meet with councillors in Donegal who had travelled to Leinster House yesterday. Deputy Patrick McLaughlin said equality is a key issue, pointing out that the way defective block homeowners are being treated differently towards recent measures announced for defective apartment owners in Dublin. He accused the government of washing its hands of the situation and wrongly believing that the supposedly enhanced redress bill will resolve issues.
You're expecting traumatised homeowners whose lives have been destroyed to try to engage with building contractors to try and make an amount of money fit that just can't fit. Will he meet with the councillors who are here today, cross-party, including his own government councillors, who've called the scheme a sham, who've called out their own government and said they need to get up there urgently? Because I'm telling you something now, you're going to have people on the street again very, very soon in Donegal, Mayo, Clare and all of these counties again.
Further calls have been made for regional inequalities to be addressed with a focus on the Northwest and Donegal. Such equalities have been highlighted further following the latest CSO figures, which have revealed that people in Donegal have the lowest disposable income in the country at just over €18,500. The Northern and Western Regional Assembly says the gap in the region and the state average has progressively widened over the past decade. Help is at hand for smokers thinking about kicking the habit. On National No Smoking Day, the HSC says nicotine replacement therapies are free from local stop smoking clinics. It's a part of a package of supports on offer to help people quit. The HSC Smoking Cessation Service in Donegal is urging people in the county to engage with them. More on today's 9 to Noon show. Martina Blake, National Lead for the HSC's Tobacco Free Ireland programme, said therapies can double your chances of quitting for good.
Nicotine has actually been defined by the WHO as more addictive than heroin. That's why we really don't advise people to quit on their own, and most people who try to quit on their own unfortunately are unsuccessful. So we really advise that using stop smoking medication doubles your chances, and using stop smoking advisor support will double your chances again.
The Finance Minister says he expects the AIB to be consistent in how it treats all of its borrowers. The bank will be asked to appear before an Oireachtas Finance Committee to address why DJ Carey's €9.5 million debt was reportedly written down to €6,000. News reports also suggest AIB has seized and repossessed a number of golf properties once owned by the former Kilkenny hurler, raising €1.8 million towards his debt. Minister Michael McGrath says AIB will have to explain its approach in dealing with redundant loans.
They will engage on the valid questions, not at the level of the individual customer, but about their practices and their policies and how they approach different situations where somebody's heavily indebted, has a limited number of assets. How do they work that through, and how can they demonstrate and prove that they are consistent in the treatment of all borrowers? Because for me, that is the fundamental principle at stake here.
And now to weather for this morning. Today will be cold and breezy with sunshine and scattered blustery showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with hail and isolated thunderstorms possible, while wintry falls can't be ruled out on over higher ground. The highest afternoon temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees, but feeling colder due to a brisk northwesterly wind. That's all for now. We'll be back with more news at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 22nd of February. The death has taken place in Drumbarton, Scotland, of Iris Cinnamond, née Wallace, formerly of Glenalla, Milford. Her remains will arrive at St Columkille's Church of Ireland, Glenalla, on tomorrow Thursday at 5 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral service on Friday at 2 o'clock with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to St Columkille's Church of Ireland, Glenalla. The death has taken place of John Charles Duffy, Ahigalt Drumkeen, formerly of Lower Main Street, Letterkenny. John Charles's remains will repose at his late residence today and tomorrow from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m, with rosary both nights at 9. House private, please, on the morning of the funeral. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 11:15 to St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen, for Requiem Mass at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Society of St Vincent de Paul, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Neil McBride, Tierna League, Carndonagh. Family removal from Beach Hill Nursing Home, Lisfannon, Buncrana, at 5 o'clock this evening, going to his daughter Anne Devlin's residence at Wynn Park, Glentoher, Carndonagh. Removal from there on Friday morning at 10:15 to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Beach Hill Nursing Home, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Anne Gallagher, Glasha Guidor. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, going to her late residence, Rosary nightly at 8. House private, please, from after the Rosary until 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass in Chuck, Pobble, Columkill, Knockfollow on Friday at 12 noon, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to MS Ireland, care of any family member, or Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Jimmy Brennan, Chapel Road, Dunlow. Remains reposing at Midlin's Funeral Home this evening from 5 o'clock with Rosary at 9, and again tomorrow from 12 noon with Rosary at 8. Funeral on Friday in St Crona's Church, Dunlow at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in Mahery Cemetery. The death has taken place of Teresa McKee, née Boyle, 134 Ballycoman Estate, Strabane, formerly of Orchard Street, Strabane, reposing at her home from 11 o'clock this morning. Funeral from there tomorrow evening at 5:30 to the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Strabane, with Requiem Mass on Friday at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Jimmy Bradley, Wadge, 37, Castle Park, Buncrana. Remains reposing at his late residence, leaving there tomorrow morning at 10 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Donations, if desired, to St Maria's Riviera, Main Street, Buncrana. The death has taken place of Nellie Warney Vicneelish, Middletown, Derrybeg, originally of Brynelec, Guidor. Her remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg, until Rosary tonight at 8 o'clock, followed by removal to the family home, which is private, please, to family, neighbours and friends. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Chapel, Derrybeg, tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, with interment afterwards in Maharagalan Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Rocco McGinley, 1 Chimacool Road, Buncrana. His remains will repose at his home from today. Removal from there on Friday morning at 9:15, going to St Mary's Oratory for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Letterkenny University Hospital Paediatric Ward. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The death has taken place of Seamus Sweeney, Letcher Fad, Terman. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Carnamugga, Letterkenny, today at 12 noon, going to St Columkills Church, Glendowan, arriving at 1 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11, with cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan, on Saturday at 1. The funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Ivan Potts, Maharacallaghan, Castlefin. Funeral from there this morning at 11:20 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Dunnyloop at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
I'll never forget the first time we arrived at our
beautiful lodge, our cosy
base for the next week of fun.
We cycled through the forest for
hours and whooshed down the rapids
again and again
and again. Remember when
Dad couldn't even hit the board at archery, and when the ducks wouldn't stop following our
boat? We'd never giggled so much.
It really was something special, and that's why we love
to go back.
Start your story today. Centre Parks Ireland. Family forever. Book now at centreparks.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Coming up after 11 o'clock, we'll have Kieran in studio with the latest business news, previewing the Business Matters podcast. Also, we're going to be hopefully giving you some helpful and useful advice if you think now is the time to stop smoking. You know, I mean, obviously, people try and come up with New Year's resolutions, or they might choose Lent to try and decide how to do it. So if the timing's right for you now, hopefully we'll be able to give you some hope, because it is an incredibly anxious thing to even think about if you're a smoker. Nicotine, an incredibly strong drug, we know that, of course, and even just the mere thought of packing in cigarettes would fill you with trepidation and fear. And then you might have people around you that go, oh, you love smoking so much, you'll never give them up, and listen, they don't mean anything bad by it, but it happens. So hopefully we'll be able to support you, give you some useful advice, and sort of help you understand that you can do it if you really want to. And that's the important thing, I think, and it'll probably form part of the conversation after 11, is you kind of have to be in the space where you now want to make sure that you're as healthy as possible into your later life, or that you reach later life. I think it's indisputable the health impact smoking has on people. So maybe today's the day that you go, you know what, I'm going to do it. Well, we're going to bring some advice to you, let you know of the sports that are out there to help you on that journey, and sort of lay out for you when things start to get better, because you've stopped smoking today, even with the supports that are there. I'm sure it'll be difficult for a day, then the next day, then the next day. But do you know what? By the summer, you could be completely cigarette free. No smell in your clothes, no smell in your car. You know, some people don't go to things because they don't have access to a cigarette. They might not go to the cinema or go. I knew personally people that didn't like going on holidays. You know, for a lovely 1 week's holiday, they didn't go on holidays because they couldn't tolerate having to go into an airport and the flight and not having access to a cigarette for 5 or 6 hours. I don't know if that's you, but I certainly know people that were like that. So if you have any questions about packing in smoking, and also, I also know there's people out there who, you know, they might feel the only thing I can enjoy is a bloody cigarette, and the people on the radio, you know, I'm switching off. And I get that, and hopefully you don't switch off. I do understand that everyone's in different spaces in their lives with different opinions, but if we can reach, you know, a dozen people who want to give up cigs, doesn't have to be the first day of Lent, but just is a good time to talk about it, then hopefully we'll do something good today, right? What did you give up for Lent, by the way? I'm still working it out, and it's all right because I haven't done anything yet today, so I can still make a decision. I can pretty much pack everything up because I haven't done anything yet. Drank water, that's about the height of it. Are you giving up anything interesting for Lent? Let us know. 08660 25,000. Well done to the girls from St. Columba's. You should all be very proud of yourselves. So well spoken and explained, and I think we as a county can be proud of them as well. The land tax. The caller says there's no mention of quarter of an acre. There's no automatic exclusion for the person with 5 acres, and the closing date for exemption from the draft map was the 1st of January 23 past, and you must register and contact Revenue if your home is over 1 acre. I did not hear all the interview, but did Councillor Canning explain the big issues, the micro homes and sites, what happened to those homes owned on the RZLT map that have not paid their HAP, or explain what happens if someone didn't know and did not pay? So what we're going to do, this is obviously very complex, and it's one of those stories that you realise once you start doing it, it affects an awful lot of people. So this might be one of those where we need to get a panel in. Or to get some other experts on so we can field questions like the very questions put across by that listener. Because if I'm doing something, I want to do it to a point where I don't sow confusion, that we bring answers as much as we can. So leave that with us, please. A caller believes it's nothing but a land grab by government now, but the big question is, who are they going to build homes for? It's all going to settle down. Do you know what I mean? There's a huge demand on housing in this county. All Fianna Fáil councillors were obviously under the whip. Not one of them went to Dublin yesterday. I, for one, who voted Fianna Fáil, will never in my lifetime vote these people that we voted to represent us. I'm sure I spotted a couple, at least one or two Fianna Fáil heads, did I not? I just leave that in abeyance just for a moment to make sure I don't misrepresent anyone. Obviously, I think there's going to be disappointment at the turnout. A lot of people didn't go, but I just wanted to double check that no Fianna Fáil councillors went, just to make sure we're as fair as possible. But I wonder what will come from yesterday. I think the things are going to start escalating again. Hi, Greg. Russia would now be totally within its right to target all Irish soldiers since Ireland has become an enemy combatant of Russia and a deadly participant in the Ukrainian war. We have bloodthirsty terrorists running the Dublin government. Democracy and neutrality is now dead in Ireland. This is the last nail in the coffin. Warmongering is now the rule of the land. But look at that comes in from Raymond. I get what you say, Raymond, and that's the reason I asked the question. But, you know, we have facilitated wars in the past. You know, we had... British Army planes flying out over South Donegal to target German U-boats. If that's correct, I think it is. Anyway, we did allow them to fly over our land for better access to drop their bombs rather than having to fly up and around. And there's other examples as well. Shannon's use during the invasions of the Middle East, or the actions over there. You know, we've flirted with neutrality. The problem is really a lot of these decisions are made. Without seeing what the public think, to see what the people think. I'd be interested to see what people within the army think as well. 08660 25,000. Maybe they are all for it. I don't know. Greg, apparently some government councillors didn't travel to the demonstration in Dublin, so now we have a people before profit party and a party before people's party, which we've had for decades. That's their view on that. We were talking yesterday about Canaban. Oh my God! This is the drug that some people take when pregnant. Caraban, isn't it? Caraban. Okay. Thank you, Caroline. That the argument being put across is that this drug is incredibly useful in easing extreme sickness of people who are pregnant, women who are pregnant. But you have to get a prescription from a consultant for it to get it for free, and you often don't see the consultant until later on in the pregnancy. And for some, that's going to be too late in terms of preventing their illness, but also preventing going into hospital. And we were speaking to a GP yesterday who said, look, he can prescribe it, but then there's a huge cost to it and it's very expensive. This caller says, during my pregnancy, I was given an injection for sickness prescribed by GP, administered by the community midwife in the GP surgery. I then developed COVID, so was housebound, felt extremely sick, pregnancy related. I called the GP to see if I could get the oral form of the vaccine to try to help sickness. The nurse in the GP called me back, said we should take nothing for pregnancy sickness. Left me feeling very anxious about the injection I received. My point is education is key. Communication of research will reassure professionals and pregnant women. I'm not sure about the injection. I haven't heard about that. Greg, wonder what today's snowflake music fans would make of the 70s punk band The Sex Pistols and their Nevermind the Bollocks album. We should probably need heart defibrillators and trauma counsellors in every school. That comes in from Jim. But Jim, there's albums and music out now that would make that album by The Sex Pistols sound like church music. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there at the moment. That's what I'm saying. You see, we focus on songs like Baby It's Cold Outside or Fairy Tale from New York, but the chart is full of songs with incredibly offensive language. Now, I don't want that stopped, you know, because people can, you know, I listen to all different types of music. My kids do as well. You know, it doesn't change who they are. It doesn't change their attitudes towards people. But this is in the context of focusing on certain songs and certain books. You know, if you're going to do it across the board, but maybe don't do it. No wonder our hospitals are inundated. We don't put enough funding into community-based care, like the it's not an injection, that is an oral drug, I believe. I'll double check that, but my understanding it was taken orally. But anyway, like that drug Dr. O'Farry mentioned, if such measures can prevent hospital admission, surely funding streams should be available. Same for many cases. Not enough primary care services and funding. Basic GP services, not what they need to be here or in Northern Ireland, causing huge problems. But yesterday, we already came up with situations that could easily be resolved in the pharmacy. And if they're resolved in the pharmacy, the person doesn't have to go to a GP. Going to the GP for a prescription for conjunctivitis, pharmacists can do that. So that frees up spaces in the GP. And if there's spaces in the GPs, that frees up spaces in the ED. And if it frees up spaces in the ED, then hopefully it frees up spaces in the hospital, or in terms of people coming out the other way. Do you know what I mean? We're coming up with solutions here. They just need to be taken seriously by the HSE. I've just read that. I suffered with hyperemesis in my last pregnancy. It's all consuming. I stood in my GP's office at 8 weeks crying, begging for Caraban. With Caraban, I was able to just about function. It cost me €48 every 10 days. I was still incredibly unwell my entire pregnancy and lost all the joy connected to pregnancy. This needs to be made easily available to all women immediately, and more education about the effects this has on women. And you're quite right too. Caraban, very effective for a lot of people, but for some people the sickness is so bad that Caraban only takes the edge off it, and there's still hospitalizations and illness and dehydration and all that type of stuff. So Caraban, excellent for some, can only take the edge off it for others. Does anyone in Ballybofey, Stranola have any idea what is going to happen to traffic when this new water main starts on Main Street, Stranola, after St. Patrick's weekend for 3 months? It took me 20 minutes this morning to get through the town. No road work. Says the council. Any plans in place? Didn't hear about this until now. I think there's certain people on certain roads around Ballybofey, Stranola then are going to see quite a significant increase in traffic. You know, that unofficial bypass that's there, it's not a very safe one, but people are going to use it to avoid any further delays. We'll try and find out. I think it's important to let everyone aware, because a lot of people travel through the two towns as well as live in them, to find out what the story is with these roadworks. We'll certainly work on that and bring it to you well in advance of their commencement date.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 22nd of February. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 8. The numbers are 65, 44, 68, 7, 3, 54, 81, 69, 19, and finally 33. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The rock and roll years and dancehall days is back for the last time. The Smash Hit Show, where the cast take you on a roller coaster ride of nostalgia with over 40 hit songs from the 50s and 60s. Don't miss this record-breaking musical filled with musical memories at the Millennium Forum, Derry, Thursday, the 23rd of February. Tickets at the box office.
The new TFI Live app from Transport for Ireland makes getting real-time information and planning your journey on TFI buses, trains and trams easier than ever. The TFI Live app combines the Real-Time Ireland and Journey Planner apps, which are no longer supported from the 22nd of February. You can also search for timetables, save your favourite trips and stops and more. Download the TFI Live app on Android and iPhone for free today. See transportforireland.ie.
Teagasc will hold a tillage meeting this Thursday, February 23rd at 8 p.m. in Angrinnan Hotel Burt. Topics include crop margins for 2023, crop and seed options for 2023, and growing oilseed rape in Donegal. Speakers are Shay Phelan, Teagasc crop specialist, Tim O'Donovan, technical director Seed Tech, and Austin Dagnan, manager of Donegal Rapeseed Oil Company. All are welcome.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
OK, we're joined on the lines now by Elaine McGinley, Community Development Worker with Lifford Clonley Resource Centre. Good morning, Elaine.
Good morning.
And also joining us, Joanne Fullerton, Development Worker with Better Together, Communities in Partnership Programme with the Triax Neighbourhood Management Team. Hiya, Joanne.
Hello there.
Right, can you talk to us about the Triax Neighbourhood Management Team? It's an interesting name, or the Triax Initiative.
So that's the organisation that I'm working for to roll out this cross-border programme called Better Together, which is funded for the International Fund for Ireland. And so I can tell you a little bit about that programme now, if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we're rolling it out in 4 different cross-border communities. That's Calais, Lifford, Buncrana and Muff, and that will be throughout 2023. We're providing all sorts of training options to build the capacity of third sector organisations and groups and residents in those areas.
Now, what are they though? What's the third? What was the phrase you used? Third level or third?
So your third sector organisations.
Yeah.
So so like your community groups and organisations and the training areas as well. So you're talking about training in first aid, committee skills, health and safety, but we're also open to any suggestions that the communities themselves would identify as training gaps. For example, child protection, like that would be a necessary training for anyone who wants to be working in the community sector.
And the cross-border element of this, Joanne, if people are sort of looking to establish things, there has to be a cross-border element of it, obviously, to fall under this programme, I'd imagine.
Yeah, 100%. So the other aspect of the programme that we've got funding allocated to is allotment regeneration, gardening classes, cooking classes, and road safety workshops, but also cancer awareness. So like the Pink Ladies, who's one of our partners, the Pink Ladies Cancer Support Group, they operate in Derry and are looking to expand their reach to the Donegal area. So, you're getting your cross-border aspect through linking these organisations on a cross-border basis and addressing the shared needs that communities all along the border are experiencing.
Elaine McGinley, do you have a particular interest in a particular development?
Yeah, I'm interested in organising a ladies group in Lifford. We're delighted to be involved in this Better Together programme. It gives us great opportunity in the Lifford Clonley Resource Centre to get women in Lifford together in the one room. I suppose personally, thinking on if I needed to
get involved in a group, I would have to go to Strabane, whether it was breastfeeding support or any of those, just simple wee things. Strabane's the nearest place to us Lifford ladies, or Letterkenny, and I think it's time that we had a ladies group in Lifford. There's great support for it and interest in it, and I suppose being the county town too, we could do with some more focus groups in Lifford. You talked there earlier about hyperemesis. I suffered from that myself too in 3 pregnancies, and there was no group of women that I could have went to talk about this other than talk to a doctor. So I think it would be great. This Better Together program really does give us the chance to get women together and to continue this cross-border connection with Lifford and Strabane and Derry and other places as well. But for us in the Lifford Clonley Resource Centre, we're definitely focusing on a women's group to be to come out of this Better Together programme.
Yeah, and it can be a very lonely place when you're suffering with something, and you know, obviously your GP supports you as best you can, but they're a medical professional and they're waiting to see the next patient. To have the support of other people that understand would certainly, and that's just one example and a very fine one as well. Is there a sense that Lifford sort of, you know, in terms of service provision or supports up until now, Elaine, has been, well, sure, look, it's available across the border, or sure, it's only a trip down to Letterkenny. That's not really the reality. That to some extent, you know, that Lifford's been a little bit left behind with some of these services and others.
Yeah, I think so. Don't get us wrong, we're very happy to go to Strabane, and we have great connections in Strabane through family and, you know, education and things like that, and we'll always be linked to Strabane. But I think that it's time that Lifford, maybe we are a wee bit forgotten. We are the county town, and sometimes people forget about that and things move to other areas of Donegal. But I think even just in the community sector, we need to start to stick together ourselves, and I think it's even to start with this women's group, I feel that it's a good start for us, you know, and we can progress from that. Yeah. We can organise other groups from that. I think when a crowd of good women get together in the one room, sure, who knows what the possibilities are. Endless.
All right, Joanne, so this is a perfect example then of a good project, perhaps a qualifying project. So do you want to give us some more examples, or maybe a call to action for people listening out there that might be able to engage with Triacs to their benefit?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so specifically for Lifford, we have a Pink Ladies workshop on the next Monday, on the 27th at 10:30 a.m. And they're going to be looking at understanding your feelings and emotions throughout a cancer diagnosis, or perhaps even if you're one of the supporting friends or family members of someone with a cancer diagnosis. And they'll also be talking about managing stress and keeping a journal and your self-esteem and confidence. Everyone's welcome to that. It's not just for women, but it's all for men and women and people of all ages. And then just more broadly for the programme as a whole, we also have our launches coming up. We had our first launch there in Lifford on the 13th, and it was really great. It was a very vibrant afternoon, lots of different people discussing, you know, the opportunities in Lifford that they can get as a result of the programme. But going forward now, on the 7th of March, we have our launch in Buncrana. That's in St Mary's Hall at 2 to 4 p.m. And then on the 25th of March, we have our Muff launch, which is in the Resource Centre, again at 2 to 4 p.m. And tonight, we have the Calais launch, which is in the football club between 7 and 9 p.m.
And who should attend these launches, Joanne?
Okay, so community groups from those areas, but also if any community groups from other areas want to come in. So, for example, we had the Mill River Conservation Group come up to Lifford, and it was really great to see the synergies between that group who are addressing the health of rivers and also the Pink Ladies who are addressing the health of people through our environmental awareness. And the pollution in our environment that can have an effect on our bodies. You know, so it's really about making as many different connections as possible and bridging as many different residents and community groups.
All right, Joanne, if anyone wants more information about the Triacs Neighbourhood Partnership, or, you know, a list of upcoming events, or anything I might have missed out in terms of my questioning, where should people contact, or is there an online resource?
Yeah, so we have the usual social media platforms, so Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can also get me in the office on 04871 261 916 or by email, which is joanne@triaxneighbourhoodmanagementteam.org.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Elaine?
No, just that the people of Lifford hopefully get behind us in this and come to the Lifford Clonley Resource Centre and support the local area, and let's push Lifford forward.
Yeah. Listen, the greatest advances in our towns and villages come from the local community organising. You know, that truth be told, and then maybe going to seek support from local elected representatives or funding agencies or bodies. But the real work begins when the community gets together and identifies what's needed and works together to sort of achieve that. And great things are being achieved all the time right across the region. So keep up the great work, Elaine. Thanks for your time this morning. Great to chat to you.
Thank you.
All right, and same to you, Joanne Fullerton. Lovely to speak to you as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a million.
All right, take care. That's Elaine McGinley there, community development worker with Lifford Clonley Resource Centre, and Joanne Fullerton, who's a development worker. If you want any of the contact details that were listed there, get in touch with us. We'll retain them here and pass them on to you. Right, let's take a quick break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
For over 20 years, CarZone has been the trusted name in Ireland's motoring marketplace, bringing 1 million car buyers and sellers together every month. And now, buying or selling a car has never been easier on CarZone with expert tools and advice. Download the CarZone app or check out carzone.ie. CarZone, Ireland's trusted motoring marketplace.
Hello, thanks for waiting. Could you hold the line?
Yeah, no problem.
Now, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm looking to make some updates to my insurance policy.
Have you tried our online portal?
I thought it would be easier to call.
Yeah. No. You're going to have to log on to amend your policy. Thanks for calling.
No, wait. I don't know my password. Get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want to talk to you? At Local Insurance, we understand your needs. Call today for a bespoke quote or find us online at localinsurance.ie. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Wet n Wild is celebrating 20 years in business with a massive 20% off absolutely every product in store in February. Choose any top outdoor brand product in store and we will deduct 20% of all prices at the till. Buy premium quality outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment today and save 20%.
Joe Walsh Tours are delighted to announce that the annual Rafo Diocesan Pilgrimage to Lourdes will return in 2023. Fly direct from Derry Airport on May 23rd and spend 5 nights on a fantastic pilgrimage to the beautiful Shrine of Lourdes with the Rafo Diocese. Call 01 241 0800 for details.
Nutrius Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season. With 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
Guess what? What? Larkin's of New Mills are offering an early bird special for only $6.95 Monday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. A full menu is available 7 days per week, along with daily lunch specials. Call in any time to Larkin's of New Mills or phone 074 91 266 97. And at Our Family, look after yours.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
All right, if you were listening to Community Garda information yesterday, you would have heard Garda Grania seeking the public's assistance in relation to the theft of 24 sheep from a farm in East Donegal. The sheep were at Ballybow, St Johnston. 19 sheep were male, 5 were female, black in colour, 5 were black in colour and they were female. The theft took place between 5 p.m. on Wednesday, February 15th and 11 a.m. on Friday, February 17th. Now we're joined on the programme by Adrian Gallagher, Chair of the IFA Sheep Committee in Donegal. Good morning to you, Adrian. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg.
Right.
Good morning to your listeners.
As we sort of said yesterday, a significant enough operation that maybe someone might have noticed something overnight. Does this kind of crime come as a surprise to you and your members?
Well, I suppose as a sheep farmer, Greg, it probably doesn't. It probably doesn't come as a surprise. Most of us would have had experienced this in the past. Unfortunately, it happens, and we're quite restricted in what we can do unless we actually catch them and the act.
Where are these sheep being sold? Where's the money in these sheep? It's not like me that I would steal them, Adrian, and all of a sudden, if I had a front garden, do you know what I mean, that there'd be 25 sheep there.
True,
so what's
Greg.
going on?
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's one of the facts. One of the facts is the person that has taken them, they must be a registered flock owner. So they must have a herd number, and they must be able to offload these sheep. So they must have an outlet for them, right? They must be a registered owner, and they must have local knowledge in the area. So to offload them, obviously, they're meant to be, all sheep are tagged, with an electronic tag, and sheep must follow, if you sell them, they must have a dispatch docket, so there's a paper trail there, what sheep that are sold, be it farm to farm or into the factories or to the marts. So there should be a paper trail. Now, if sheep are stolen, obviously you're getting them for nothing, so they're prepared to take any kind of money, because any money is a profit for you.
All right, but let me ask you then, so there's 25 sheep, right? There's 25 tags. Those tags are removed. 25 tags have to come from somewhere. So
exactly,
as far as the database is concerned, or the body that distributes these tags, where did the new 25 replacement tags come from them, and who can apply for them?
Exactly, yeah, and this is where that the DVO do have an input here. I mean, everything is dispatched and everything's recorded. So if you're, all of a sudden seeking new tags this time of year, then that should be raising alarm bells. What the department and would say in this case in RFO, they would be aware of it. So yeah, that is one of the outlets that you could go down that avenue with and see, because yes, farmers generally just order the tags for the newborn lambs that are coming out, let's say in April or May, when they're tagging them. So generally they'll order enough tags to cover their lambs or the newborn lambs into their flock every year. So that would be one avenue that the DVO could look at, to see who is seeking tags in different times of the year, or seeking more tags than they would expect to breed in terms of lambs. So certainly, yeah, that's one avenue, and one let's say opportunity for them to go out and look and seek information on it.
What do you think happens to... Well, let's not talk about this, because we don't want to complicate an investigation. So we'll just say it happened tonight, right? Another 25 sheep were stolen. Where are they likely to be going, do you think? Are they loaded into a lorry and taken to Louth or Tyrone, or... Well,
it depends on the sheep that are taken. If the sheep are factory fit, then the chances are they've gone to the factory. And there's only a handful of factories killing sheep in Ireland. So, if you have a suspect, it'd be very simple to ring up the factory and see that suspect X supply stock.
Well, Adrian, can I go back to the tags here, right? Because say, for instance, I stole 25 sheep.
Yeah.
I would need those tags to be sitting around for some while, wouldn't I? Surely there'd be a red flag if a newly issued tag, are they dated? If it turned up at a mart, do you get where I'm coming from? Like, there seems to be this loopholes here that could be closed.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't be dated. Tags aren't dated.
Right,
but
okay.
If I go and seek tags today, I order up, say, 250 EAD tags today, right? There's a record of them now. What day or when I enter them into the sheep's ears then is not recorded. So there won't be a record that way. Obviously, yeah, somebody has taken the sheep. The chances are they've gone to the factory. They've probably re-tagged and gone down and somebody else's flock number,
Yeah.
And they're killed that way. But there is a paper trail there, and there is an opportunity for the guards, the DVO, and the factory and the farmer to work together and try and look at this and come to some kind of conclusion.
All right. So, in your mind, what is the function of the tag? Why were tags introduced?
Well, The function of the EAD tag is for traceability.
Yeah, you
and
see
it's
there,
for
you see,
the food,
and
the
this
food,
this
yeah,
is
the
why
food vision.
this is why the powers that be need to crack down on this then. So because it's clearly not working, because this is one instance. How many sheep are stolen annually? So there are a lot of sheep being traded, entering the food supply presumably, and they're stolen sheep with fake tags effectively. So they need to, to maintain the integrity of the sheep meat market, the lamb market here, then they need to seriously crack down on this themselves.
Yeah, that's true, Greg. I say, and this is where I'm coming from. I mean, the DVO and the Department of Agriculture need to be a lot more stringent on who's seeking tags and on particular times of the year, and to see and to quiz and why they're seeking tags and why they're seeking tags beyond their number, obviously, of expected lambs to be born on a particular flock. And it does raise flags, and the DVO do come out and do inspections. They do inspections if you haven't ordered tags in the last year or two, and they will do inspections too if you're ordering additional tags. So, I mean, the DVO do come out and do it, and what the outcome is on it, I mean, I have no experience of that. But you're right in saying that it's an opportunity for farmers to go out. I mean, obviously, when sheep are re-tagged, I mean, you've no records then of what medicines have been used, or whether they're in a withdrawal that could have been dosed the previous week, and I mean, maybe they weren't actually fit for slaughter, but the person that's taking them obviously not going to know this, and they're going to head straight to the slaughter. So there is a risk there as well, where stock could be entering into the food chain that shouldn't be. And
it's particularly annoying too, because you know as much as anyone, Adrian, the amount of effort and care that goes into raising sheep to keep and protect them from dogs and every other bloody thing that's going on. All the money that it costs to medicate them, to feed them, and then to know that they're taken from you and it could be sold for pittance, really, because as you say, whoever steals them, they're going to pass them off. It does, I don't know what the second-hand stolen market might be, but it's a real sickler for the farmer.
If they're going to go to the factory with them, they'll get the factory price on the day for them, price per kilo. So I mean, they're happy enough. I suppose from a farming point of view, it'd be important for us to, to lock all gates. There's no harm in installing CCTV. Or even the simple trail cameras are very, very, very effective, And I suppose it's good too if you have out farms to inform the neighbours in the locality. I mean, normally, just say you feed your sheep at a particular time, and that make them aware that you'll be on the farm at a particular time or at your particular type of jeep. And if you see any different jeeps other than your own, to let you know, or just to take the registration of it or whatever, and inform you that there was somebody up looking at them sheep or in that lane at a particular time, So it's important for farmers to be vigilant and to go out, we'll say, and check your stock, quite often, I mean, on the case we had last week where the person, he's a very short window there on, he knows when the stock had disappeared, so that's good, because you could follow that up very quickly, And
I suppose, the farming community, and we as the broader community as well, which many, many of the farming community are connected to it, have to keep our eyes out as to does something look a little bit odd, a little bit out of place? Ring your neighbour and say, were you moving sheep last night, or whatever livestock it might be. I think we're going to have to do our bit to sort of make Donegal an unattractive place for people to do this, because it's one case after another. We were speaking to a farmer not too long ago who had a lot of sheep stolen from the Barn and Small Gap area, and I mean, the people stealing these sheep know what they're doing. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to see what's going on, who's about at what times, round them up, get them in, get them away, pass them off. Do you know what I mean? There's obviously very experienced professional people, not giving them any credit, who are involved in this. So we're going to have to do our bit too.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it is actually. It's very important to the neighbours. Yeah, they do look out actually. Yeah. And the person must have local knowledge. They must have an outlet.
But that's even worse though if there's no local knowledge, Adrian.
Yeah. It is actually, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's what happens. Nobody come out from Cork or Kerry come up here to steal sheep.
Yeah, okay, well that's worrying, but you're right, of course, and you know best.
I mean, the income from a sheep farmer is very, very low at the moment,
Well, look, if you've a certain amount, you're probably doing it because out of tradition or love or something. You're not doing it to pay your mortgage. You know, I mean, obviously there's different scales, but, you know, and there's a lot of money has to go out to get them to the point where they were stolen. All right, Adrian, listen, thanks for that. I appreciate your time.
Thanks
I wish
very
we
much
talked
for
about something else, but you know yourself. All right, Adrian Gallagher, he's chair of the IFA Sheep Committee. Again, anyone, any information, get these sheep back to its owner. The theft took place between 5 p.m. on Wednesday, February 15th, and 11 a.m. on Friday, February 17th. They were taken from Ballybow, St Johnston. According to the Garda information, 12 of the sheep had a red marking sprayed on their head, 4 had blue sprayed on their back, 19 sheep were male, and 5 black in colour were female. Right, okay. Greg, good morning. Good morning to you too, Martin. Does anyone know what was meant by the answer to Greg's question to Paul Canning as to why he didn't attend yesterday's meeting regarding the defective block scandal? He said he'll speak to his colleague about it. I'm not sure if he's referencing Minister Charlie McConalogue there, but the answer is on the record for you. There's a scam going around. Your package cannot be delivered and you have to follow a link. The number is, and they give a number here. The number's irrelevant because they can clone the number. Don't click a link about packages in your texts, please. There's a few going around still. In conclusion, with something so important that could affect your future as a nation, I truly believe a referendum is only appropriate in the circumstances that are potentially that for the future of the nation. And I presume you're talking about neutrality there. It might be one they're afraid to ask the public on. I think the majority of people truly believe we're actually a neutral nation, both in terms of, you know, politically as well as, you know, in terms of foots on the ground. But we're not. We've taken a side, and taken a side quite strongly to the point whereby we're training up Ukrainian soldiers and we're sending out stuff, as I say, like flak jackets and that type of thing. Or maybe they could hold a referendum and there'd be a 35% turnout because people don't really care. I don't know the answer, but you wouldn't know unless you ask, I suppose.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rate switcher loans.
Fógra Shervishi Publi o Horlia Kondai Winanal. Ten Aquin Leherakta Nua, Kelly Changa Leo o Hervish Lorlanya, Winanal agus Lor Fuesti Aaron, or Fuel Sear Nashke or Lena Inish. Has sé daim ag an Aquin Nua takeíocht de haar ar foiil do Víní Fásta, idir Hismahori agus Hívnori, Winchari agus Illa, en is gur Véidir Lawson Yor, Gaelic Arinch, leis na Puesti agus Dini Aga in the seal. Tarníonn sé arj ar Quig Lordiag den Ska, da Leharí Nád go Hartdiag, agus le Kishna, Duchlein agus Gníwiachta, Malin sin na Leharí sin Stas Skiel. Cheliu Alles ar foiil ag Donegal Library, Poncaí. Córla Chundai Winanal ag Cossinch ar Gulter agus ar Nairachta.
Guess what? What? Larkins of New Mills are offering an early bird special for only $6.95 Monday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. A full menu is available 7 days per week along with daily lunch specials. Call in any time to Larkins of New Mills or phone 074 91 266 97 and let our family look after yours.
Attention all home and business owners. Are you looking for the best value for money when it comes to plumbing and tile solutions? At McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles, our experienced staff are ready to provide top quality services and products that meet your needs and exceed your expectations. Our focus is on providing expert advice and top quality products. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles showroom in Buncrana is dedicated to delivering great value for your money. Visit our showroom today.
If you have magic moments or great memories sitting on your phone or in the cloud, have them printed at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same as 6x4s. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed and digitalised. Use the in-store kiosk. Download the McGee's Photo Prints app or visit mcgees.ie. Photos printed instantly, within an hour, or in by 10, ready by 5. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Nunes, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Right, it's chilly, isn't it? Today, continuing cold and breezy with sunshine and scattered blustery showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with hail and isolated thunderstorms possible, while wintry falls can't be ruled out over high ground. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees, but feeling colder due to a brisk northwesterly wind. Right, okay, let's say hello to Councillor Jackie Healy-Rae. Good morning to you, Councillor. Thanks very much for taking the call today.
Good morning to you, Greg, and to everyone in Donegal this morning.
Right, we were going through figures not so long ago in Donegal, and they're not a million miles away from the figures you received from Kerry County Council. It revealed 23% of those offered accommodation solutions from either Kerry County Council properties or approved housing bodies properties turned them down. You've described them as laughable and unreasonable reasons. Tell us a bit more about it.
So yes, so as you stated, Greg, 23% of housing offers given to applicants in 2022 were refused. And when you're refusing a local authority house, you have to give a reason as to why you're doing so. And some of the reasons that Kerry County Council outlined to me at our meeting on Monday were simply really laughable, in that one person, for example, turned it down because there wasn't enough room for their motorbike. Another person turned down a house because it was an older house and wasn't a brand new house. These reasons, certainly in a housing crisis, and the one that we have, which has people in dire need of accommodation across the country, is totally unacceptable. And I have no problem with people who require housing and have certain needs. We have situations in Kerry sometimes where the county council don't always get it right, Greg. Sometimes houses are offered to people that are wholly unsuitable because, for example, they might have a child with special needs, or there might be an older person that needs certain adaptations to the house, and that the house isn't suitable. And while those are far and few between, they do happen and slip through the cracks sometimes. But for somebody to turn down the offer of a housing solution simply because the house isn't brand new, or because there isn't enough room for their motorbike, or because there is the garden shed out the back isn't big enough, that to me is just certainly unacceptable, because there's a big difference between housing need and housing want. And unfortunately, given the unprecedented crisis that we have in this country at the moment, local authorities across the country cannot put up a catalogue in front of applicants and say, oh yes, flick through that there, see which one suits you, and come back to us.
So do you think, so let's say there is a scenario, right, and just, there was a recent development in Buncrana, the most recent figures I have, and the houses were offered in 23% refusal rate there as well. So it's an interesting that the figures are quite similar. But let's just say there's a scenario whereby there's a family living in a house, right, and it's a private loaned house, but they're getting assisted by the council in paying the rent, and they're on the housing waiting list. Do you think there is a particular problem that they feel that they're in a decent housing situation and they're prepared to wait for their forever home, and they're prepared to turn down homes that don't match that criteria? Do you think that's a lot of what's happening, or what do you think is leading to this level of refusals?
No, well, given the reasons that were provided to me by Kerry County Council, that doesn't seem to be the reason.
Yeah, but where are the people living then, Jackie, do you think? Do you know what I mean? Where are you living whereby you could turn down, long-term accommodation because it doesn't house your motorbike? Do you get me?
But again, I don't believe that the root of the problem is that they're living in a rented property that is suiting their needs at the moment. No, don't get me wrong. I would imagine that some of that could be the issue, because another reason that was given by Kerry County Council for someone refusing a house was because it was an approved body house rather than a Kerry County Council property. And again, that reason doesn't wash with me, because the only reason why somebody would turn down what I call an AHB house as opposed to a local authority house is because you cannot buy an AHB house. Now, while I support everybody's right and entitlement to have the aspiration to one day own your own home, in Kerry, anyway, especially at the moment, if the local authority build a brand new house, you can't purchase that either. It's not eligible through the tenant purchase scheme. So therefore, you're not going to own that property either. And the reason that Kerry County Council don't sell those properties is because those properties are to such a high standard of finish that there's no comparative property on the market in Kerry Therefore, they've nothing to put it up against to compare and contract, and they'd be selling at such a discounted price compared to the investment that they're after putting into these developments. So it's not feasible for them to be selling those types of houses.
All right. Do you have any rules in place whereby there, maybe you're allowed one refusal, or what's the story in Kerry County Council?
The current rule at the moment is that in any 12-month period, you can, if you turn down the offer of 2 houses, you're then suspended for 12 months off the housing list. That, to me, seems very relaxed and flexible. I think if you're offered a house that suits your housing needs, not your housing wants, your housing needs, and if you subsequently refuse that, I don't believe that you should be considered for another property. You should be put that back down to the bottom of the list, because I have plenty of people that are coming to me, Greg, on a daily basis that would gladly take the offer of a house. Since these statistics came out yesterday, I've had people on the phone to me saying, where are these houses being turned down, because I'll take them.
Yeah, well, listen, as I say, back to has shown another set of stats here, 35 to 40% of offers turned down. That was an increase on recent years. Those are the latest figures I could grab here from our news site. That was in June 2021. So just finally, where are these people living then? Do you believe their scenarios might be that they can turn down houses for some of the reasons that you've given? They're not clearly couch surfing, are they? Or are they living on the...
I'll tell you what it is in a lot of cases. It's an over-exaggerated sense of entitlement that because they seem to think that, there's a certain development that has been built up here, they're brand new houses, they'll turn their nose up at the offer of an older house, because they say, no. Despite the fact that they might actually direly need the accommodation, they're saying to themselves, no, I'm not going to live on that side of town, or else, no, I'm not going to take an older house because it's older, I'm going to wait for the new house.
All right, thanks very much for your time, Councillor Jackie Healy-Ray there.
County's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke, it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update. We say good morning again to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Finance Minister says he expects AIB to be consistent in how it treats all its borrowers. The bank will be asked to appear before an Oireachtas Finance Committee to address why DJ Carey's €9.5 million debt was reportedly written down to 60,000. New reports also suggest AIB has seized and repossessed a number of golf properties once owned by the former Kilkenny hurler, raising €1.8 million toward his debt. The Dáil has been told that more massive defective block protests are inevitable if the government doesn't engage with affected homeowners in a realistic way. The claim came in the Dáil last night from Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, who urged Darragh O'Brien to engage with councillors who had travelled up from Donegal to protest outside Leinster House yesterday, a number of them from government parties. Some people with disabilities are still waiting for clarification as to when they'll be able to make their own decisions. Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle raised the issue in the Dáil this morning with Disabilities Minister Roderick O'Gorman. Deputy Pringle told the Dáil the amended Assisted Decision-Making Act passed last year still hasn't commenced. Minister O'Gorman says there are complex discussions being held at the moment. He expects to announce progress within weeks. The National Ambulance Service is not meeting response target times for emergencies, according to the HSE. In cases of life-threatening illnesses such as cardiac or respiratory arrest, ambulances are expected in under 19 minutes, 80% of the time. However, in 2022, the service responded to those cases in under 19 minutes in 72% of cases. Resources are the main reason targets are missed, according to the Dublin spokesperson who appeared before the Oireachtas Health Committee this morning. And help is at hand for smokers thinking about kicking the habit. On National No Smoking Day, the HSE says nicotine replacement therapies are free from local stop smoking clinics. It's part of a package of supports on offer to help people quit. The HSE's smoking cessation service in Donegal is urging people in the county to engage with them. More on that on the show with Greg over the course of the next hour. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed for that. Yes, indeed, Wellness Wednesday falls on Ash Wednesday. Traditionally a day when people try to go off something for Lent. Our focus today is going to be on stopping smoking. Later in the hour, Kieran will join us with some business news and so much more besides. So don't tune out, stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Nutria's milk replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season. With 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrias.ie for full nutritional information.
When you need help with natural gas or LPG appliances or pipes, don't take any chances. Stay safe and always use a registered gas installer for installation, servicing, repair or removal. Otherwise you're putting yourself and others at risk and breaking the law. Find a registered gas installer at rgi.ie.
With 231 well underway, are you calling in for a look? Sure, call in for a cup of tea or a coffee and let our sales executives show you the options available in our new Kia range. With an unbeatable range of vehicles, there's only one garage to visit for your next purchase, and that's iMotors. Visit us in Letterkenny or Malin, or visit imotors.ie.
Donegal County Council invites the public to take part in the first stage of the public consultation to inform the preparation of the Draft Town Centre First Plan for Milford, which runs from Thursday the 16th of February until Thursday the 9th of March 2023 and will include an open drop-in event on Wednesday the 22nd of February from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. at the Milford Public Service Centre. For more information, visit the project website milfordtowncentrefirst.com.
Callahan's Gala and Go Burt, your one-stop family shop. Drive in to our newly renovated spacious forecourt. Fill up at our upgraded modern fuel pumps and save with our keen Go Fuel prices. Located on the main Letterkenny to Derry Road, we're the ideal pit stop on your Donegal journey. Fast flow fuel, self-service or attended with a smile.
Sure, it's all go at Callahan's. Aldi's Play Rugby sticker promotion is kicking off again. Collect official Irish rugby stickers every time you spend €25 in Aldi. Help fill your local primary school's poster for a chance to win €50,000 to upgrade the school's playing facilities. And scan your sticker for a chance to win your weekly shop. Now that's a win-win situation. Start collecting now. Aldi, official fresh food partner of the IRFU. Details at aldi.ie/play rugby. Promotion runs until April 23rd.
All right, Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about cigarettes or stopping smoking because, of course, as I mentioned before the break, it is that time of the year where people might choose to go off something for Lent. Maybe it's smoking. Fiona Boyle is Smoking Cessation Advisor at HSE West. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg.
And we're also joined by Marion Potts, former smoker?
Former.
Okay, you can say that comfortably. Right, okay. Fiona, someone needs to be ready to stop smoking
ideally,
before, really, don't they? Yeah. So today is really an opportunity for us to talk about it, or for someone to start preparing themselves for it. We're not necessarily saying, are we, that if you don't feel up to it today, or you're not in the right brain space, then maybe today's not the right day today.
Yeah, but I suppose it allows us to bring up the conversation about it, which is probably apt from the point of view that we know that the majority of people who do smoke tobacco don't want to, and 50% make a quit attempt every year. So the chances are, by bringing it up, it may well be that we can capture some people who actually might be interested in stopping.
And then there are those that do want to stop, but even the thought of doing so fills them with dread and fear and anxiety, and they choose the path of least resistance and kick the can down the road. Like,
exactly.
I'll give up when I'm 21, I'll give up when I'm 25, I'll give up when I'm 30.
And I suppose that's why we're really encouraging. We have a very friendly stop smoking service here in Donegal with 4 practitioners. There's 15 clinics throughout the county, so even just to make a phone call, you mightn't be ready at the moment, but it might be just to get engaged, and that then whenever you are ready, you might be more likely to actually get involved with the programme.
Marion, when did you start smoking?
Well, I started smoking when I was 13 and smoked right through till I was 27, and then I had the babies, and that was a good enough reason to give the cigarettes up. And it was, it was quite easy because you were thinking about your kids. And then time went on, and 23 years later, then I lost my dad in the February, and then I lost my brother in July, and then I lost my other brother in October. So I had lost 3 members of my family within 7 months, and the grief took over. And then because it was so long since I had gave up the cigarettes, I forgot the reasons why I gave them up. And then I'd have swore that I would never have smoked again, but the grief took over, and I started up again.
They were one of your crutches, your grief,
aye.
in terms of your grief.
Aye, yeah,
and I suppose in that moment when you made that decision, it probably seemed like an insignificant decision with everything else you were processing.
Aye, definitely.
Yeah. And did you start smoke? How long ago was that, Marion?
2014.
2014. Then did you smoke consistently up until the time you gave up?
Well, I probably gave up. I gave up, it was a year yesterday. And then a couple of years ago, I was trying to give them up.
You kind of on and off type of smoker, weren't you?
Well, I had the 24 years, we could say so, but from
exactly.
the bags.
Yeah, but in your second coming of the smoking.
And then I'm kind of, whenever when you start back up again, it's like you're back into it just from the day one,
the
what I mean.
Drag.
I was up in the morning, fag before my coffee, last thing at night, waking up in the middle of the night and having a cigarette, so I was really addicted.
So how then, after when you restarted smoking and you're working through the grief and loss, then did you sort of start going, I'm actually back smoking properly again? And why did you want to stop again?
Because I was constantly getting chest infections.
Yeah.
My health was terrible. My energy levels was gone. I was absolutely scunnered with myself, that I was like being in a jail, constantly thinking about the cigarettes. I was smoked tobacco, so the whole process, it was taking up my whole thoughts. Right, get the tobacco, get the roll-ups, get the tips, going to the shops, constantly thinking about it, constantly rolling them up, constantly, the whole...
It's not a casual habit. It's a habit that takes up your time.
So much of your
mind.
brain power.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes we go to the ultimate, Fiona, when we talk about the dangers of smoking. In other words, death, right? You know what I mean? Wanting to get cancer. These are very well proven. I don't think anyone really disputes, although I heard a few things during COVID, we'll not even go down that route. Very few people would dispute that these are incredibly dangerous. If this was a new product, they would never come to market. Simply would never, ever come to market. So, if you're generally got decent health, really we only think of it about being death, but it's not. These severely impact people's everyday lives. They shorten lives, obviously, as I've mentioned, and people can... thankfully we're living longer now, but we want those last extra decade or two that we get now to be in good health, don't we? But absolutely. If you smoke for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, those years could be a nightmare.
Absolutely. So I suppose, you've highlighted the fact that tobacco use is the biggest contributing factor to chronic disease. So when we're talking about chronic disease, we're things like asthma, COPD, emphysema, respiratory issues in general, also cardiac issues and cancers. Absolutely. But I think, in fairness, you've highlighted the whole control issue as well.
Yeah,
so,
really
control is a huge reason.
And really honest, Marion, because I don't think a lot of people would want to admit that, that it is actually
so
all-consuming. Exactly.
And taking up your time.
Did you realise that before you gave up the second time, or was it looking back that you sort of go, geez, I did that day?
Well, that was the whole process, what was going on whenever I was smoking. Then I tried to give them up for 5 months. But I didn't. I thought, because I'd done it the first time, that, I cold turkey, and it was going to work out the second time, but it just was completely different.
Because you're still dealing with your grief, and you don't have the babies as the motivator.
That's it, exactly.
You don't have anyone to put in front of yourself.
No.
You just have to love and care enough about yourself to make such a sacrifice, which how many of us actually... can say that of ourselves. And also too, and we're going to go through the stuff that we often do, but I want to sort of take a different approach at this, in that you noticed your health disimproved very, very quickly. And I think what a lot of people don't realise is how quickly your health can bounce back, how quickly climbing a set of stairs, when you get to the top, it's not quite as difficult as it was when you were smoking, or bringing the bin up the drive, or... even lifting. I don't think people realise lifting something is like walking up a set of stairs. You lift a kid up and then you put them down and you're puffing.
Aye.
But very quickly you can bounce back from that. Your health does start to improve really quite quickly, doesn't it?
Well, my journey was when I went off for 5 months, I didn't look for the help, and I tried to struggle on it myself, and it was a big issue. Because I was always, that thought was there, what if I do it again? And, all the kind of negativity. And I tried hard on my own. I had on 3 stone in 5 months, you know, because I wasn't handling it properly. And then last year, I had been sitting at my computer. Oh no, I actually went to the doctor, and I was constantly getting chest infections. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor says to me, Marion, you know, you could have COPD. I had a really bad chest infection, and this was in my mind. But obviously the cigarettes is there telling you no, you're not giving them up, you know. And I was sitting at the computer, and it was an article come up from the Sun, and it was in conjunction with the HSE quit. Do you want to join the group? Just click the button. And the addiction was saying, are you crazy? What are you doing? You know, because obviously I didn't want to give them up. I loved them that much. But I pressed the button, and I was like, oh, what have I done now? I've pressed that button. You don't want to give them up. And a million and one excuses was running through my brain about why I'd done this. Because obviously I didn't want to give it up. And so I'd pressed the button, and the next stage was I got an email from the Sun saying, oh, we're going to let you join up the group. And I was like, oh no,
well,
have I done that for I want my fags? I don't want this. And but then the positive part of my brain was saying, look, control yourself, just go.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the brain, because you know the primary function of the brain is to keep us well and to keep us alive. That's what we do, and a lot of that happens subconsciously. We don't have we don't have any conscious control out of it, and because nicotine's so addictive and the other elements of a cigarette, your brain is telling you, unknowns to yourself, that you need to keep doing this because this is how you function better. This, you know what I mean? And we have to fight that or reprogram it in some way. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but that's kind of what's going on. So we have to convince the brain. I know you're telling me I want a ciggy, right? But I'm telling you that we can take this thing out of our lives and then we'll both be better for it. So we have to sort of work on programming that element of it as well. So I want to talk about the positive as well, which is all of it's positive, Fiona, about how we can bounce back. Now, it's different for everyone. Some people might have to give up cigarettes because they are quite seriously ill or what have you. But let's just take so how quickly then might your body start recovering from smoking?
Okay.
The dangers of smoking.
Yeah, it depends on what your diagnosis is.
And average. You know, shall we just focus maybe for the time being for people who are smokers? They're puffing a bit, right? They're blowing a bit, and you know they're getting on a wee bit, and you know what I mean. I think that maybe probably catches a big cohort, right? That aren't being told by the GP that if you continue, you know. So
okay, so suppose the most significant factor is within 24 hours of stopping smoking, carbon monoxide, which is one of the poisonous chemicals in tobacco smoke, has left your body. So the kind of symptoms that will give you is exactly what you've described. Things like a bit of shortness of breath, maybe a bit more tired than perhaps you would normally be, maybe having a cat nap in the evening when you sat down, which you never have done before, and we'll often put it down to, I'm getting that bit older. That's the reason. Whereas in fact what we find is when people stop smoking, that isn't happening. So the benefits start straight away. So I suppose one of the we were talking out in the office earlier on, myself and Marion, in relation to the benefits for any age. So like I've had people in their 80s who already have diagnosis of things like COPD, but their day-to-day symptoms can improve by stopping smoking. So it's never too late to stop, because that carbon monoxide, which replaces itself for where oxygen should go, has gone. I actually describe it very much like, if you can imagine your body's a bit like a car engine, and when we're smoking tobacco, it's a bit like having dirty petrol in a car engine. It's going to eventually start chugging and spluttering and just not going very well. Whereas when you stop smoking, it's like having clean petrol in the car engine. So it's going to run much smoother. Compared to before. And
in terms of sort of things like lung capacity, you know, providing there hasn't been damage from COPD, which cannot be reversed, but it can be
so within the first 3 months there can be a dramatic change in your breathing and your lung capacity.
And blood, how your blood performs, processes oxygen, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's all to do with the carbon monoxide. So within 24 hours that already has started to improve. Things like your blood pressure can improve, your cholesterol can improve. So we often take high dose medications to help lower blood pressure and lower cholesterol, whereas if you're a tobacco user, the single most important thing that you could actually do for either of those conditions is to stop smoking.
All right, okay, we're going to talk more about this, right? The elephant in the room, though, is, and you're not going to talk about it, is that a lot of people have successfully given up smoking through vaping. It's different in England. The NHS sort of see this as a tool. We don't here, right? So does that help or hinder what you're doing here? Because you know what happens is people are replacing one addiction with another, right? Now, they say, the Royal College of Surgeons say it's 95% less harmful, but there's still 5% equally as harmful. I'm not going to get into those figures because they could be disputed.
It's Public Health England, actually.
Public Health England, sorry. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'll have to double check that, but I think you know more about this than me. But anyway, so, why not go in, get a vape, cut out a lot of the stuff that's in a cigarette, but you still have the habit and you can still have it before your coffee? Why not that route, which is another path of least resistance, versus some of the techniques we're going to talk about?
So suppose, again, we will work with anybody in relation to any adult, any over 18s who wants to come to the programme. If they choose to use electronic cigarettes as part of their programme, we will work with them with that. We're an evidence-based service.
Of course.
So we have to go with what the evidence says. And we know that the evidence is very strong in relation. If you use the appropriate combination nicotine replacement therapy, along with the appropriate behavioural support, which is what we would offer, then you are 4 times more likely to be successful at quitting. So we don't need the electronic cigarettes per se. The unfortunate thing is, and exactly as you've described, about 70% of people in Ireland don't come anywhere near stop smoking services, don't come anywhere near their GP, will actually try to do it by themselves with very limited success.
And end up smoking and vaping at the same time. And also what we're seeing now is an increase in teenagers who have never smoked but actually have an addiction so strong to vaping that we're probably going to see programs like this for them.
Absolutely,
to get them
and nationally they're looking at that at the moment.
That's where we're at. Yeah,
there is a tsunami coming down the road, unfortunately, and the Health Research Board a few years ago actually did some research on exactly the cohort you've described, young teenagers starting to vape, and they are now 5 times more likely to start smoking. Whereas our tobacco rates for young people have been reducing since 1995, and they've now started to go up again.
And we have never been more sort of acutely aware in following the money. Do you know what I mean? And what big business and big organisations do. Look at the tobacco companies. Look where now they're investing their money. They're moving their money from cigarette creation into vaping and stuff, and one feeds the other. So you know what I mean? As I say, we're all acutely aware and like to call it out. But that's another example. Okay. We're going to hear more from Fiona Boyle, Smoking Cessation Officer at the HSE West, and Marion Potts, who's a non-smoker, after we take a quick break. If you have any questions for either of the two of them, and I think obviously Fiona always has fantastic advice for us, but Marion's been there and done that as well recently, okay, and is typical. I'm not saying you aren't, but you're the professional, right? And me and Marion were the mugs. All right.
I did speak for yourself.
I know, but you're. But you know what I'm on about? It's just the practical things, like because you talked about the weight gain as well. That's not because that's also a health impact. So we're stopping smoking, but we're replacing it with something else. Okay, so we'll have more from Marion and Fiona, but we're going to take this quick break. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Dillon's Hotel, Letterkenny, is the perfect place to celebrate special occasions. Dillon's exclusive function rooms cater for up to 120 guests for any occasion, from corporate celebrations, presentations and networking events, to milestone birthdays, anniversaries and retirement parties. There's audio-visual equipment, integrated PA systems and even a private bar. Dillon's Hotel, perfectly located in Letterkenny Town Centre with award-winning food and 5-star service. Call 91-22977.
Check out these special offers at Simpson's Supermarket, Glencar, Letterkenny. There's Walker's Cheese and Onion 12-pack, €1.50. Iron Brew 8-pack cans, €2.50. Chicago Town takeaway pizzas, €4.50. Rooster 10 kg potatoes, €4.50. And there's Odlum's pancake mix, only €1. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson's Supermarket, Glencar, Letterkenny. Great value every day.
If you're having any hearing difficulties, at Donegal Hearing Clinic we can help. If your hearing loss is slight but you want to look into it, or it's got to the point where you've no other choice, we'll do what it takes to resolve your problem. It may be as simple as a wax removal. Donegal Hearing Clinic, Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Milltown Business Park, Buncrana. Call us on 07491 88470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
60 seconds to plumper skin. Almost 9 out of 10 women say they have dehydrated skin. New generation Hydra Essential from Clarins, formulated for 24-hour hydration. It helps skin naturally boost its hyaluronic power. By day, it hydrates and plumps. At night, replenishes moisture levels. Hydrated skin is radiant skin. Visit your local Clarins stockist for a complimentary skincare consultation and Hydra Essential sample while stocks last. Clarins.
Donegal County Council is inviting applications for funding under the Regional Festivals and Participative Events Programme 2023. The closing date is March 16th. Programme guidelines and an application form can be accessed on the Donegal County Council website and social media.
Okay, now we're in the company of Fiona Boyle, smoking cessation advisor at the HSC. Marion Potts, a former smoker. She gave them up for a second time and is all the better for it. And we're focusing on, what we can do and the positives that come from that. Okay, let's take in Frank, though, in the conversation. Hi, Frank.
Good morning, Greg. Morning, Fiona.
Fiona's listening to you. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I started smoking at age 12, and I don't know how long Fiona was in that job, but she wasn't that long in it when I went to her. I was in my late 50s, probably early 60s, and with her help, I gave up the cigarettes. I'm alive today because of her, and now 76.
Brilliant.
And it's a brilliant service.
How did your health and life change once you gave them up, Frank?
Oh, I came. The cough that I had disappeared. I was able to walk 5K. Things I couldn't do, was able to do.
And at what age did you give them up? 56, did you say?
Oh, it was later than that. It might have been around. It must have been. Fiona could tell you that. How long?
Well, anyway, listen. Come here. We're not drilled down. My point.
Anyway.
My point is this, though, is that for you to get to a position in your health where you began to be able to walk 5 kilometres, that you were able to get rid of that tickly cough. And it's going to be different for different people. But there's a great bit of hope in that later on in life, that you could see the differences, that you actually got out walking, stuff that you couldn't do before. What we might reserve for maybe 25, 30-year-olds, Frank. It's very positive, I think, that had that kind of change You had that kind of change.
Indeed.
Okay, right.
And still active. And for a year after I gave them up, I put the money that I was spending on cigarettes aside, and I bought a boat 12 months later.
What kind of boat?
With the money.
What kind? Was it did it have a wee cab on it?
No.
A punt? I like boats, Frank. I want to talk about boats now.
It's an inflatable.
Oh, lovely. Like a rib or...
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Brilliant. Wow. Yeah. So you were able to deliver that to yourself with all that money you saved. Brilliant, Frank. Lovely story. And I think the key thing that came from your comment is that you believe that you're around today and healthy and active because of your initial engagement with Fiona and the support that you received. And I think that's a beautiful message, Frank, to end the call on.
Thanks, Frank.
And thank you very much, Fiona.
Right, bye-bye. And there's an absolute sincerity in that, Fiona.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think I remember him now.
That he recognises that he's where he's at now because of the supports. Right, I don't want to flip-flop.
And I suppose that's something, just
ahead,
Greg,
Fiona.
in relation to that as well. Often the fear of engaging with us is what will prevent a lot of people from actually joining the service.
It's a man thing too. It's the same thing why we won't go into a GP's and get our bloods tested.
Yeah.
Because we think something's going to come from it, that's not good.
Yeah.
But again, it's the brain tricking us to some extent outside of our full control. Right, so Fiona, I'm ready. Right, so I want to engage in your services. So talk to me about how.
Okay, so the initial, so you can refer yourself into the service, or you can get a health professional to refer you in. So ordinarily what we would do is we do an assessment on you. So we would get your past medical history. Have you got any physical issues related to your tobacco use? We would check your psychiatric history as well in relation to mental health, because that can have an influence in some of the medication that we might use. We would also do what we call a decisional balance. So we would actually ask those questions. So what is it that you currently enjoy about smoking? Because often people will say there is some elements that I might enjoy. Often as well, we have lots of clients who they've never asked themselves that question. They just presume they enjoy because they've done it for so long. So we ask them what they enjoy. What don't you enjoy? So what is it that's driving you now to think about stopping smoking? Then we look at what are those concerns that you might have, such as 3 stone in weight. That's a huge concern for a lot of people even before they think about stopping smoking. But also, what are you hoping to get out of it? So we need to make sure that we're going to be realistic. So if somebody's got really bad COPD and they're expecting to run the Dublin City Marathon, then obviously that's another
manage expectations.
Exactly.
Can I chuck another cohort in there if you don't mind? People who went to the doctor worried there was something wrong with them. They're smokers, and the doctor has given them a clean bill of health. now's the time. You're in a perfect position to go from there. You know, often we use the trigger of bad news or what could, you know, the doctors just says, you know, your bloods are pretty good, you're a bit low on vitamin D, but we can sort that out. Lung capacity not too bad. Give them up now. You've got it. You know what I mean? You can pretty much, you know, really help to maintain at least that, if not improve. You know, so rather than us get a health scare and stop smoking, get some good health news and stop smoking.
So we would have done, in fact, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we would have actually done some meetings with the GPs in the evenings for their clinical medical education meetings, where, like that, we're advertising the fact that there is free nicotine replacement therapy now for anybody who joins the service, whether you've got a medical card or not, but also that whole brief intervention piece. So it's having those conversations with their patients, whether or not there's a condition happening or whether or not there's a potential for a condition to happen. And GPs are very positive towards our service as well. So if you have that conversation with the GP can either refer you on themselves, or they might give you a business card for us, or contact us yourself.
Right, so you've asked me the questions, legitimate questions too, for the best of my care in terms of physical health currently, mental health history and what have you. Then what happens?
So we would look at then, how ready are you to do this? So,
I'm ready to go.
Okay, so so there's 3 questions I will specifically ask you is, how important is it for you right now to do it? Have you got any other competing priorities? So if there's a lot of stuff going on in your life, now may not be the best time. And how confident are you in your own ability to be able to do it? If your confidence is low, which it often is, then we might do some work on the confidence side of it first of all.
So in other words, I think with everything that's going on, the cost of living, I think if I try to do this now, I'm going to be banjaxed. You don't say, right, good luck, come back. You'll say, right, well, what can we do then to get you into a better place?
So this whole service is client-centred, Greg. It has been from the get-go way back in 2004. So it's very much about having the conversation as where the client is at and then trying to support them to move along. The one thing that we are specific with the client is that at some stage there will be a quit day. So it's moving towards that quit day.
But it's not that day.
It doesn't have to be that day. In fact, from our perspective, it's often better if it's not that day, because we won't have done the preparation work with the client. Sure. So it's very much about keeping the client centred, working out what it is that's the obstacles in their lives, what are the dilemmas, what are the triggers that they normally go through, and actually getting them to try and deal with those triggers even prior to stopping smoking, and maybe in conjunction with some of the nicotine replacement therapy as well, depending on the individual.
Started smoking age 12, gave them up at 57. Thank you, Fiona. Without your help, I probably would not be here today. I'm now 76. I wonder, is that Frank?
It sounds as if his statistics yet.
It is. I don't think it is anyway. Re-giving up smoking. I've been trying for years and still trying now, using patches, and steer clear of anyone smoking. It's like shock to my blood. Oh, right, I'm like a shark to blood, okay. My question is, I can't stop using the patches soon as I'm 2 days off the patches. I need nicotine. I can get more patches, but they take a good 8 to 10 hours before they start working. Are the patches safe long term? So this is someone doing it by themselves and they have an absolute dependence on the patches.
Please call us, first of all. In relation to the patches, any of the treatments that people use for stopping smoking, we would encourage them to use them for 12 weeks. So you would be on the high strength patch for the first 8 weeks. Then you go into a medium strength patch for 2 and a lower strength.
It sounds to me like that person's trying to fix the roof on a house where the walls need a bit of attention first.
So
and no matter what they do, it's always, they're going to keep going around in circles. That's why so listener, please, you seem to be really keen to do it. You want to do it. Get on the phone to Fiona and the team, and they will offer you the supports that aren't there at the moment to help you through this whole thing. That's what you're there for, yeah?
100%.
And I want to be speaking to this lady or gentleman in 20 years' time saying, well, we had that, I made that call, and now look where I'm at. Right, okay, go ahead.
I think just, Greg, in relation to that as well, so often whenever people are thinking about stopping smoking, they look at the addiction side of it, and they might use nicotine replacement therapy. They often don't use anywhere near enough of it. But the other two aspects of tobacco addiction that we would very much hone in on is the behavioural aspect of it, so the habits that we've created over the years on our addiction, but also the emotional attachment. So most of us would have been teenagers when we started smoking, and at that stage we were learning how to deal with life, and often if we smoked or vaped, that's what we do instead. So it's about supporting them to develop new skills that they can actually utilise at those times when they might be stressed, they might be anxious, they might be celebrating, so it can be positive emotions as well as negative emotions. It's amazing too,
because again, the psychology of it around that time when you're a teenager, you're coming to a next stage of your life, so you're surrounding yourselves with a support system.
Exactly.
You know, before you head on to adult life, and cigarettes can form part of that, so it's ingrained, and your brain again is saying, no, we need that, because that was what sort of hugged us when we were teenagers. How did you deal, Marion, with the habit stuff? You talked about first thing in the morning a ciggy, cup of coffee, even the whole process that you went through in terms of making the cigarette. Do you know what I mean? There's a routine there. I'm sure you probably did it on the clock all the time. So how did you break that, or did the easing off the addiction help in that regard, or what?
Well, I did. I used, initially had used the patches. I didn't, they were fine, but I actually found the Nicorette spray, which is instant on your tongue or the side of your cheek, gave me that quick hit.
So it got you through that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Little period of pressure. Okay, then
100%.
Yeah, okay.
And also you get the chewing gum as well. So there's variations what you can do. You know, I started off in the patches, then it was the Nicorette and a wee piece of chewing gum. And I can honestly say in the past year I've never craved a cigarette. I think it's really important that you attend the group sessions is fantastic because as Fiona says, you don't need to give them up, joining the group therapy, but because you're doing it in a group with other folk, it's fantastic, the support of other people,
because
what
there's
we
other
do
people
without
going through
the journey
what we do,
with you.
Marion, we announce that we're going to give up cigarettes, and we tell everyone around us, and then instantly put the pressure on, because the worst thing could happen is that you're seen as a failure amongst the people you care about. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you're in a state whereby you're talking to other people that will kick you on and go, do you know what, I actually think I can do this. Other people are empowering you with that information.
And you're not committed to actually, right, you have to give up this now in this state. So you can go in for a few weeks and you're sitting with other folk and you're feeling their pain. You can see their nervousness. They're about to go on the same journey as you. And even that, psychologically, knowing that there's other people with you on this journey, that helps along.
Yeah. Now, also too with you, now your clothes don't smell of cigarettes. You don't, if you can go visiting.
My chest is completely. I've never had the chest infection.
The health side of it's fine, but I want to get to the sort of so in other words, even visiting, right? You don't have to worry about visiting someone if this is a non-smoking house.
No.
If it's a long car journey, if it's a flight, ferry, you know what I mean. You don't have the. I don't think people who don't smoke realise how smoking affects an awful lot of what you do. Even going in for lunch, you go, oh Christ, an hour.
Every minute of the day, you're looking, if you're in the airport, you're looking to go out of the front door to have a cigarette. How am I going to cope on this flight for 2 hours? You know, it just takes over your brain. It's a nightmare.
And not
I'm
a single
totally
for
free
you.
now.
Yeah,
I don't have that at all.
Yeah.
It's actually, even in a year, it's totally faded that I'm forgetting already.
Yeah.
You know, how controlling it was.
And is it intertwined too with your life experience too in what you were coping with, that great loss that unfortunately as we get older we encounter it unless it's us that goes.
But you know the
has
thing
that
is,
helped in that process as well? Has it been, have you connected it with your grieving process at all, or is it something separate for you?
Aye, definitely. It's been through the grief, but the problem is you take on the cigarettes, you get over the grief and you're left with the addiction.
Yeah, I get
you know, which is crazy.
Right, can you help someone who becomes angry when they stop smoking and are always looking for a row? I live with someone like that. Now, that is, there's a lot going on there, isn't there? This is, you're not speaking here now to the person who gets angry, you're speaking to the poor unfortunate that has to endure it. In other words, this person dreads, I would say, when the other half says, I'm going to give up the cigs, you know. Yeah. So the anger thing, is that do we use that as an excuse or something as well sometimes as well, not to do it? I don't know.
Well, it's certainly a natural withdrawal.
Yeah, okay.
So whenever your body is... nicotine's got a half-life of 2 hours. So essentially, when you have a cigarette, most people will have another cigarette within the next 2 hours because their levels are going low. When you decide to stop smoking, obviously your levels are going to go low, low, low. Depends if you're using the right treatment, then that'll actually keep them more comfortable, where you're less likely to have those anger issues. But if you're not using the treatment properly, if you're not using treatment at all, you will go into withdrawals quite quickly. So those withdrawals will only last a short time, but it's about how to deal with them. So nicotine replacement therapy can certainly help there, but also that's that whole emotional piece that we
do you give wee exercises that people can employ?
All of that, absolutely. So I suppose it's the anger tends to last for a couple of minutes, but we tend to spout off about it. We
men or women, worse or women.
I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that one.
Marion.
I was totally a pacifist.
Yeah, okay. So come here.
But it's certainly, I mean, what I would say again, if that person wants to speak to ourselves, but also what I would go back is to look at why are they stopping in the first place. So are they stopping because they're getting a bit of grief from at home? So are they stopping because they feel they have to rather than they want to?
I think that too, what that person might do, and if it's the partner, let's say, you need to actually go on the journey with them. In other words, like, you know, because they'll benefit in the long run, and say, right, come here, you know, I'm going to work with you whilst you work with the smoking cessation team. Do you know what I mean? And work through those little spells at the same time.
Yeah, I think, you know, people struggle on their own, and that itself would make you more maybe angry or anxious or whatever.
You don't understand me. Exactly.
Whereas if you equip yourself with the tools, which I done this time, you know, with the Nicorette and the patches, you know, it really does help. It really does, because I feel the difference from the 5 months.
I was just going to say that actually. What a lot of people don't realise is when we smoke, we use deep breathing and time out a lot, and that's one of the things that often people, when we stop smoking, we forget to do. So if you somebody who smokes 20 times a day, that means they're taking anywhere between 200 and 400 deep breaths just to smoke. And then they decide, I'm stopping smoking, but yet they're not doing the deep breathing, but yet we know that's the bit that actually is the relaxing part. So
there you go.
Simple little tips like that
can
help.
It's simple, but it's complex in a way. Okay. Right, so then, you know, the carbon monoxide levels stop dropping really quickly. When do we get over the hump of we're talking averages here, when do we go over the hump of the worst cravings through the process with you?
Yeah, so the generally speaking, the withdrawals last for about 4 to 6 weeks in general. So withdrawals, when we're talking about there, is things like mood changes. So you've identified anger. So it could be bad moods, low moods, irritability, easily annoyed. Anxiety or restlessness can often be a trigger as well, or withdrawal. Things like constipation can be a trigger. Coughs can be a withdrawal. Coughs can be a withdrawal. And then the most common withdrawal is cravings.
And the coughs one's interesting, because I know a number of people that said, I tried stopping smoking and my cough got worse, so they started smoking again. And
that can be the case. So if we think about it, and again, I try to explain things simply, Greg, because that's how I understand them. But
you've also met me before.
So if we think about in relation to smoking, so when we're smoking a cigarette, especially if we do it for a long period of time, there's 7,000 chemicals coming into our body every time we take a drag of a cigarette. So it's almost like they're compounding down. When we stop smoking, all of a sudden the body and all the different senses get a chance to actually...
So we're cleaning the chimney, really.
To an extent, yes. So it actually gets a chance to relieve itself. So often the cough, in fact, the cough, I would often say to clients, is actually a good sign that your body's actually trying to repair itself, rather than, providing it's not infected. Obviously, if it's infected, it needs to get looked at. But generally speaking, allow the cough to be there, and the stuff's better out than in.
Right, so see it as a positive byproduct of what you're doing, because your body's, let's just say...
trying to recover.
It's recovering,
absolutely.
Right.
So just going back to your question, first 4 to 6 weeks is roughly when the withdrawals will be there. Obviously, depending on what's going on in your life, can have a factor there. The withdrawals that tend to last longer than that are things like the sleep issues that some people might have, and also the constipation. They tend to last longer. But the cravings, if you're equipped with the tools as to how to deal with it, which is certainly a lot of what we would discuss in the clinic, they tend to last much shorter.
And if you change your diet a little bit, or do a bit of exercise, maybe you can overcome the sleeping and the constipation side of things, say, for example. Right, okay. How do people get in contact?
So we've just developed a new website. So Stop Smoking Donegal at hse.ie, live from this week. Also, my own phone number is 087 251 4790.
Which we'll retain, because...
Perfect. And then we just let you know, we have 3 other stop smoking practitioners throughout the county. So we've got Sarah Thompson up in Inishowen, we've got Dawn Hanna in sort of East and South Donegal, and then we have got Cara Curd over the west.
Right, give it a go, folks. There's a bit of negativity here, but the positivity of this would far outstrip the difficult time, I would hope, for most of you out there. You are far more likely to quit smoking engaging with the smoking cessation advisor. Ringing the phone line or accessing the website does not mean that moment you have to stop smoking. A process begins, and there's a professional team that knows what works, and they will work with you and support you, tool you up, equip you with the patches or whatever you might need, but also tips on how you deal with the inevitabilities of giving up smoking in terms of moods and what have you. Right, okay. Yes, go ahead. Who?
Two
Go
final
ahead.
things. Sorry.
Final things.
First of all,
Kieran O'Donnell knocking at the door looking to get
sorry,
in.
Kieran. So there's free nicotine replacement therapy available for everybody now. So even if you don't have a medical card, which we can get your free medication through there as well, then that's great. Also, we work with the Industry Owned Development Partnership and also the DLDC, and we're running some group programs as well. It's called We Can Quit, and it's like as you described there, Marion, it's very much that camaraderie piece as well. So you can access a group program or you can access a face-to-face one-to-one service.
All right, okay. And
could I just present Marion with her 1-year certificate for having done so well?
Thank you.
She was a year quit yesterday.
Turn it around, let's have a look. Ooh, that's actually quite fancy. Well done.
Thanks, Fiona.
I wonder maybe you got special treatment with the frame. I'm not sure.
That's lovely.
Everybody gets the certificate, but yes, you did get special treatment with the frame.
I was thinking. But look at Marion, I'm delighted to hear that things are going so well for you, particularly with everything that you've been through, and that now you're in your second phase, third phase really as a non-smoker, and you really feel powerful and strong in it, don't you?
Yep.
Which is wonderful, and great to hear that your health is improving as well. Fiona, lots of people listening and they've been texting in who you've really genuinely made a difference in their lives, which I think is a gift.
Okay. Thank you.
For you to have, but also to receive that from people. All right. Let's do it. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thanks very much, Greg.
We'll be back with more after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Aldi's Play Rugby sticker promotion is kicking off again. Collect official Irish rugby stickers every time you spend €25 in Aldi. Help fill your local primary school's poster for a chance to win €50,000 to upgrade the school's playing facilities. And scan your sticker for a chance to win your weekly shop. Now that's a win-win situation. Start collecting now. Aldi, official fresh food partner of the IRFU. Details at aldi.ie/play rugby. Promotion runs until April 23rd.
Do you know what I love about Letterkenny Shopping Centre? I love it because everything I need is under one roof. There's fashion shopping for women and men, health foods and cosmetics, Tesco's and Pennies, free parking and late night shopping Thursday and Friday. I love it because Letterkenny Shopping Centre has it all, including homeware, jewellery, hair and beauty and Revolution Laundry and their free car park. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. So much choice and open 7 days.
Open your future by attending a Northwest Regional College Open Day. This is your opportunity to visit your local campus, tour the fabulous facilities, sample the NWRC experience and apply for your course. Running from 12 noon each day, beginning 28th of February, Strabane campus, 1st of March, Strand Road and Springtown campuses, and 2nd of March, Limbavady and Greystone campuses. Register to attend to be in with the chance to win an iPad. Northwest Regional College Open Days. From here to career.
What does Ireland's future look like? At ESB, we invest over €1 billion every year to ensure it's a future powered by clean, affordable energy. That's €1 billion to fund projects that will move Ireland towards energy independence, harnessing our natural resources to bring clean, renewable electricity into more areas of our lives so that we can enjoy a reliable supply of homegrown energy long into the future. ESB. Invested in Ireland. Find out more at esb.ie.
Check out the massive warehouse clearance sale now on at Paco Letterkenny. Up to 70% off printed dresses, activewear jackets, comfort leggings, quilted gilets and regatta. Don't miss out on this one-off massive warehouse clearance sale now on at Paco in Letterkenny Retail Park.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rate switcher loans.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny, the best family entertainment complex around with bowling, laser quest, soft play centre and more. Visit arena7.ie.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Discover your dream Donegal wedding by choosing Jackson's or Villa Rose Hotel for your wedding day, exuding elegance, quality and a wealth of experience in executing the perfect wedding reception. Jackson's or Villa Rose is the venue for you. Get in touch to arrange a private wedding viewing appointment with a member of our dedicated wedding team today. Visit villarose.ie or jacksonshotel.ie for more information, or find us on Facebook and Instagram.
There's never been a better time to go full Lidl. Let's hear it from our customers.
It's great value for money, and it's first and foremost.
Anyone that has a big family, they should be shopping in Lidl, without a doubt. They have a holiday at the end of the year.
Go on. Go full Lidl today.
Fabric World's biggest ever winter sale is now on. There's over 5,000 metres of curtain and upholstery now half price or less. All craft and dress fabrics reduced, and lining from £1. Why not insulate your home with half price fleece interlining, or avail of our fabulous Euro rates at Fabric World Maydown, Derry.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Nunes, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, cold and breezy with sunshine and scattered blustery showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with hail and isolated thunderstorms. Temperatures around 6 to 8 degrees. Now, text us, just yes, if you, following on from our last conversation, feel empowered to give up smoking. We're not looking for you to come on air necessarily, but just text us yes if you feel that last piece has given you that final push that you needed.
Association with Business Matters, in association with ATU Donegal's Faculty of Business. If you're an owner or manager in a food production business, consider the new 1-year Level 8 Higher Diploma in Food Business and Product Innovation. It's just one 3-hour lecture weekly. Call 9186600 or email gary.mcgill@atu.ie.
Kieran O'Donnell's in with us now to talk about the podcast, but first we'll get some news, and I think this was discussed on the show with Donal either Thursday or Friday last week. I wasn't here, so I missed it. The Milford Town Plan, Kieran.
Yes, indeed, Greg. Donegal County Council has appointed GM Design Associates to prepare a town centre first plan for Milford. So this project is being funded through the Town and Village Renewal Fund programme, and as part of the consultation process that I think began last week and runs until Thursday, March the 9th, the public is invited to come along to an open drop-in event today between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. at the Milford Public Services Centre.
Yeah.
So
it's your town, your future. Get in there and have your say.
Very much.
All right, okay. Leo webinar coming up.
Yeah, the First Steps to Export Success webinar will take place on Monday, March the 6th. This online event is aimed at businesses that are considering expanding into international markets or who are early stage exporters. The webinar has been organised by the local enterprise offices and in conjunction with Enterprise Ireland and Bord Bia, and will be hosted by the presenter of RTE's The Business, Richard Curran. So just check out Leo's socials for more on that, Greg.
All right, okay. Inflation remains a concern, Kieran.
Yeah, Irish consumer sentiment is on the up, but inflation remains a key concern, and that is according to a new survey by Deloitte. The findings show that 76% of Irish respondents are concerned that the prices of everyday purchases will go up, and while that's down 2% in last month, it remains the highest of all 24 countries.
Yeah, indeed, and yet we have the strongest economy in inverted commas.
Yeah, it's a strange
Europe,
sort of a balance.
And
yeah.
we have a prediction of 3% interest before the end of the year. But I always, it amuses me, not in a good way, when they talk of, a fall in inflation, say from 9 to 7%, as if this is good news. But prices are still going up 7% instead of 9%. You know what I mean? It's
not been factored in.
Yeah, we're in an inflationary economy. Yeah. Okay. Building Better business event taking place soon.
Yeah, the keynote address at the Building Better business event in the Northwest is taking place on Friday, March the 3rd at Donegal ATU. Will be delivered by the Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Simon Coveney.
Building Better Business is the first in a series of free events for businesses that will highlight the opportunities and challenges presented by digital transformation and decarbonisation.
Okay, he was on the show last week, missed the opportunity to have a chat with
There's
him.
quite a lot of events happening in the Northwest, Greg.
There
particularly,
is. It's good to see it.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Slow down in house price growth. Something close to
I'm glad you had the bother with that. I'll just read below. The annual rate of increase in house prices fell to 7.8% in December. That's according to the Central Statistics Office's latest residential property price index. This was down from 8.5% in November and from a height of 15.1% in March 2022. That's a massive increase in just under a year, or a massive decrease, I should say. And yet the latest prices for households show a paid medium or middle price of $305,000 for a home in 12 months to December. So the highest price, Greg, was $430,000 in Dublin, and the lowest was $152,000 in Longford.
And just like the inflation figures, whilst we're talking about a drop in house prices, we're not actually talking about a drop in house prices, and you made this very clear. We're talking about a reduction in the increase in house prices. So someone looking to purchase a house, yes, it's not at 15.1%, but the price of building a house or buying a house is going to increase by 7.8% year on year, which is massive. Because between approval for a mortgage and actual purchase, you're wondering, well, where am I going to this shortfall here? And also in places like Donegal, I don't know if there's much property changing hands, and we're not getting a real sort of sense of what's going on here. All interesting stuff, all interesting news as ever. Right, okay. What's this week's podcast all about, Kieran?
Yeah, it's keeping with the building theme, Greg. On this week's Business Matters, I am joined by the Director of Build Cost, Liam Langan. Liam established the quantity surveying practice with former work colleague Jason Tully in 2012. The company opened a second office in Letterkenny last year and currently employs 22 people. Build Cost has recently secured contracts in the UK and is planning to have a bigger presence there in 2023. During our conversation, I asked Liam what the best lesson was that he'd learned in business.
I've learned a lot of lessons, some the hard way, but I think probably the best lesson really is to surround yourself with a very, very good team. I suppose, I'm lucky. It starts with your parents, your big influence on you. They're very supportive when I was going through college and when I went to Dublin first. Very fortunate then with the business partner Jason. We interact very well together. It doesn't mean that we don't challenge each other as well, because I think you have to have that. But look, we've worked really, really well together before Build Cost, and that's still true. I suppose then when I got married to my wife Anne, she's been a real rock of support as well. And then look, the team that we have. So I think probably the team, and then look, maybe second of all then is it's just to have an open mind as well, because things do change, and you mightn't always have the best idea yourself, so seek help from people that are better placed to give you that advice.
Yeah, and another business employing, growing, and the general population may not be aware of what they're doing, so that's another advantage of your podcast, Kieran.
Yeah, look, Liam himself and a former work colleague decided to sort of go on their own 11 years ago, Greg. It was a two-person team, but that has grown now to a team of 22, and looks like expanding again maybe this year. They've worked on local projects, they've worked on national projects, and they're, I suppose, starting to dip their toe into the UK market. So a great success story, and the fact that they've opened the office in Letterkenny last year shows that he's coming back home. He's a native of Dunfanny, so he's coming back to his roots here in Donegal as well in terms of his business interest.
Yeah, and just to remind listeners, there's a huge bank of Business Matters podcasts available for you to listen to at your leisure. How many is it now, Kieran?
132, Liam, is today, yeah.
Right, so, and as I say, it's not like the news necessarily whereby we're on about what's happening today. These podcasts are timeless for the most part. You get a fantastic insight into how businesses are run, how they're established, the challenges. There's a lot of crossover there, and it's interesting, like programs like Dragon's Den and Shark Tank in America and Canada. A lot of people who start in businesses watch those shows because they get tips about the mistakes people make, the things you need to get right. And here we have a resource for anyone in business or looking to start a business of the best business brains across the Northwest. They talk about their failures, they talk about their successes, and they talk about their challenges. A fantastic resource for anyone interested in business, but also what it is a conversation about people and the people of our community and our region and how they're doing for themselves. So there's something for everyone in the Business Matters podcast. The latest episode, as you've just heard, is available for you right now on our website, highlandradio.com, in the listen back section, and also available for you on Spotify and iTunes. A lot of people also would listen to it as a scheduled show on a Sunday, Kieran.
Yeah, after the 6 o'clock news, Greg, on Sunday evening.
And if anyone wants to get in contact with you, any feedback, any suggestions in terms of content and what have you, maybe they think they want to come on the show or whatever, how do they get in touch with you?
Just drop me an email, please, Greg. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Kieran, listen, I look forward to chatting to you next week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Business Matters, in association with ATU Donegal's Faculty of Business. If you're an owner or manager in a food production business, consider the new 1-year Level 8 Higher Diploma in Food Business and Product Innovation. It's just one 3-hour lecture weekly. Call 9186600 or email gary.mcgill@atu.ie.
Okay, it's pretty much the end of the show for today. Quick comment here. Did I hear you right? Greg Ireland is training soldiers to fight in Ukraine, so we could presume that the protesters are partly correct when they say there's been an increase in mostly young military men disguised as refugees, but possibly foreign mercenaries here training to fight in Ukraine. Ireland is no longer neutral then. They're not training here. A lot of the young unvetted males, I've never been vetted myself either, there's a mix there, because there's undocumented, there's those ripping up the passports, there are those that are coming over to try and make a better life for themselves and their families and come on their own. It's a complex one. We don't have time to get into it today. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Any comments or calls we didn't get to, we'll get